See. Just making sure it's unlisted. Yes, perfect. Okay, so just to do a quick intro for the live stream, in this session, I'm going to be talking about gouache and answering the questions that you ask about gouache, but more specifically from beginner all the way up. It's not going to be perfect, but I will try my best to make it as clear as possible. Okay, so just for your benefit, Joanna, gouache is a water-based medium, which essentially means that, like watercolor, it can be reactivated. It doesn't have any kind of acrylic binder like acrylic paints, but it is opaque, unlike watercolor, which is what makes it quite unique from watercolor, and also what differentiates it from acrylic. The other kind of key thing in terms of, okay, what is gouache? And from a user perspective, what does that mean? It means that if you like the fact that you can reactivate watercolor and you want to have a paint that you can reactivate, then gouache will work for you. If you like, but if you want something that's more opaque, which means that you can cover your mistakes, you can do like block solid paintings that don't necessarily have that loose and translucent feel of watercolors, then again, gouache works for you. The other thing is that it can be quite like punchy. It used to be used by I think like designers and things to make logos and to make other types of art, as opposed to I guess looser styles. So again, in that case, it will appeal to you. And the key difference from acrylic, from what I can gather, as well as the fact that it's water-based, is that it dries matte. So it will have a nice dry, streak-free, brush-free matte finish if it's good quality gouache. And unlike acrylic, which is permanent once it dries, gouache can be reactivated. Does that make sense? I know it's a lot of information.
Yes, I bought the wrong one. I bought Holbein acrylic gouache. I don't know what to do with it.
No, that's okay. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the wrong one. It's just different. So acrylic gouache, unlike gouache, once it dries, it can't be reactivated. Yeah. So it's similar to. It's quite similar to acrylics in that sense. But unlike acrylics, it will dry matte. It won't dry glossy like acrylics do. And the other thing is that, unlike acrylics, it has quite a high pigment load. So paints quite often are made with pigments and then binders, and together they make the paint. The more pigment it has and the more expensive the pigments are, that's the bit that gives it the color. The richer and more saturated the colors are, and by that nature, the more expensive the paint is. So with acrylic gouache, it's quite heavily packed with pigment, so quite often you will have to dilute it. So it behaves slightly different to gouache in that respect. Gouache also has a high like pigment load, but it's slightly different in terms of you don't necessarily have to dilute it as much as you may have to dilute acrylic gouache. But Holbein acrylic gouache is really good gouache. It's in fact in my very long wish list of things to get.
I find that the benefit with acrylic gouache is that if you, unlike gouache, if you paint over it, it doesn't move. The bottom doesn't move. But with gouache, you paint over it, depending on the consistency. I learned that this week.
Do I still use water to
Yes.
thin down acrylic gouache?
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome. So you would use it in a similar way, but like Miss Ebony has pointed out, once it's dry, it does not move. So it makes it really nice for that respect. And it, I think, also means that you don't have to. The struggle with the consistency of the gouache is less so with acrylic gouache, because it will stay there even if you get the consistency wrong. Whereas with gouache, you can reactivate the layers underneath. Yeah. So in terms of gouache, I have two gouache brands that I use at the moment. My favorite is Winsor & Newton gouache, hands down, and I've created a video about that, which I can make available for you guys as well, where I compare the three that I had at the time. And then the other one is Himi Mia gouache, but it behaves very differently. So I think if someone were to want to have the true experience of gouache, they should go, even if it's like 3 tubes of good, or 4 tubes rather, the primaries and a white. have those, try that out, and then get the true experience of gouache, and then you can have a bit of a better idea as to whether it's for you. The thing that I like about the Himimiya gouache, although it behaves slightly differently in terms of like the consistency, slightly more watery, and it doesn't quite layer the same as other gouache brands, is that because you get so much of it, and I have it here. Sorry. Because you get so much of it, there's like a bit of a freedom that I had, at least, where I didn't have to stress out about, you know, finishing or wasting the paint, because literally it took such a long time. I only managed to finish one, but the rest are not. And I don't know if you can see, but this is essentially what it's like. So instead of coming in tubes, which is what Winsor & Newton and most of the other gouache brands come in, it's called jelly because it comes already like this. And the idea is that it's a stay wet palette ish. So it forms an airtight seal, so it maintains this kind of jelly like gouache like consistency throughout. The alternative is this. So it comes in a small tube. Winsor & Newton tubes are 14 milliliters, but a little does go a long way. And with acrylic gouache, it will be even more so the case, because you will need to use, or rather it's recommended that you use more water than you would with traditional gouache.
What brushes should I use with the acrylic gouache?
Excellent question. So I personally would recommend acrylic brushes. I think they work quite well. So there are some brushes, like for example, this brush set came with the Himimiya gouache, and it feels like a bit of a softer version of an acrylic brush. But then sometimes, not that one. I also have, you're in the UK, so you know De La Rowney, they have like graduate brushes, which are like this brush, which is, can you see it? Is it backwards for you? So they have this brush, which is essentially a multi-purpose brush, right? And personally, I think for watercolor, I would recommend someone uses watercolor brushes. But for other mediums, I think you can get away with a multi-purpose brush. So it's firmer than the other brushes, and it resembles an acrylic brush more so than others. So I think you should use I personally prefer, obviously by all means experiment, but I personally prefer a brush that's slightly stiffer, because I think it then means that the kind of paint control when you're painting is a lot easier, because gouache is like thicker than, and especially acrylic gouache is thicker than watercolor. Whereas I find when I use really soft brushes, a pro of it is that it will hold onto water, so one stroke will continue to go a long way. But a con is that it just feels almost too soft. If you're loaded, it's almost like trying to paint with acrylic with a watercolor brush. You just end up getting a lot of paint on your brush, and it's just hard to get nice precise lines if that's what you're trying to do.
Thank you. I'll
You're
have
welcome.
a look for those brushes. I'm guessing Amazon should have them or something.
Yeah, Amazon has them. Like Casa has them. If you're in London, London Graphic Center has them. Jackson's has them. But yeah, on Amazon there is like a set, I think, of like 4 brushes that have like a round brush and a square brush, and not square brush, a round brush and a filbert brush. So there's a set on there. But ultimately, if you have any art store near you, and I would just say try to get like just an acrylic brush and experiment with that, or a multi-purpose brush that's quite stiff, and try to experiment with that. Just make sure that it's the only reason that De La Rowney is quite like on the cheaper side of things, but the reason that I like them is that the bristles don't come out. Like I hate when the bristles come out when you're painting, and then you just have to stay there and struggle to try and get it out. So that would be my one recommendation, and that's the only reason why I don't get things. I don't get the brushes from like the Works anymore, because they were just a little bit too cheap. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In terms of, does anyone have any other questions about brushes?
No. Not too many.
Okay, cool. And in terms of shapes, I like using a round brush, first and foremost.
Yeah, I like using round brushes for my watercolor.
Yeah, that's my go-to staple. And then sometimes I also like using either a filbert brush, but for some reason Dale& Rani doesn't quite have that. They have like an oval wash brush, this one. So I like, these are the my two go-to shapes when I'm doing paintings. I don't know why. I think I like it more so for like blending, especially when I'm doing like, we're talking about water in this month's art challenge, because I'm doing this kind of motion. I just feel like I can get some really nice blends when I'm using this kind of shape brush as opposed to when I'm using a round. But again, it will come down to personal preference. For paper, what papers do you guys use for gouache?
Watercolor or mixed media.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
I've got some mixed media paper to try, but I don't know if that's the right one.
Yeah, you can certainly try it. I personally prefer using watercolor paper.
I've got loads of that.
Yeah, if you do watercolor, then yeah, you will. So I think try both and see which you prefer. Gouache is quite forgiving in the sense that it will still work in mixed media paper. I don't think it's quite as say like stubborn or particular as watercolor. So you would still get the main effects. I like working in layers, so I think that it's nice if it's above 300 GSM, but if it's 200, 220, it will still work. And in my last video that just went up, I was actually using it in the accordion sketchbook, which is 100% cotton, and that was also really, really nice. A bit overkill for gouache. Oh yeah, thanks. It's a bit overkill for gouache. As in, like, I wouldn't tell a beginner gouache painter that they need to paint on 100% cotton. I think reserve the 100% cotton for your watercolors. But if you happen to have it and you want to experiment, then yeah, it will also work on 100% cotton. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of my setup, I put everything in my Stay Wet palette, which is in a shambolic state. I'm so sorry. I've just been painting a lot recently. And the reason for that is just personally, it means that I'm not the best at estimating how much gouache I need to put out. And I think this kind of avoids that because it's all out already and I can just mix it on the palette as I go along. For acrylic gouache, it might be helpful having a Stay Wet palette, not necessarily like this one, but one of the flat ones, just because with acrylic gouache, once it dries on your palette, you can't reactivate it. So sometimes, your paints won't last as long and it can be, you may end up wasting a bit of your paint. So if you want to avoid that, then just get one of the flat Stay Wet brushes that again are available on Amazon. And it's essentially...
would I just put in like flat Stay Wet palette on Amazon?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can send you the link after. I should probably be making a list of these things.
If you don't mind.
No, that's okay. I will have a... No, that's fine. Let me just write this because otherwise I'll say I'll do all these things and I'll forget. So Stay Wet palette and then the brushes. Dale & Rani. Okay, cool.
Can I ask, do you find the Winsor & Newton gouache chalky? Because a lot of people have said that they find it chalky.
I haven't found it chalky.
Because I wanted to try that brand.
Yeah, no, I haven't found it chalky, and I'm quite picky. I'll show you some pieces so that you guys can get an idea of what I've done. And please, if there's something else that you want to talk about, let me know. But can you see? These ones were done quite quickly. It's the time challenge. But it lays flat. There's no sheen to it, which makes it good for taking pictures.
Oh, I love that purple color.
Yeah, and again, it's all like mixed. I started off with the introductory set, and that's pretty much what I was using at this point. And then I've added 4 colors to the introductory set. So this I must have got by mixing like this ultramarine blue with the ultramarine blue with this cool red. And then things like this. and here as well.
I love how you do some close-up paintings and then some that are further away as well.
Thank you. It's I think it just depends on how I am feeling that day. And then
yeah. Oh, I like that one.
Thank you. This was of Venice. It's actually, the reference is in the Venice Views reference pack that's available for free for you guys. But yeah, it took a lot of work to do this one. I had no idea how it was going to turn out, but gouache is very forgiving. So this took quite a few layers to do. It didn't have to, but because I was correcting myself, I had that ability to do so. So we've talked gouache brands. I love Winsor & Newton. We've talked brushes. We've talked paper. I, to be honest, use any paper that I have on hand. So this one is the Gold Line watercolor paper. But the only reason that I'm using it is because I bought such a thick pad so for practice. So I have to use it. Basically, I have to get through it. But I also I prefer the Dale & Rowney paper, which I've bought in A3. Where have I put it? I normally put everything within hand's reach. That's why you see me looking left, right, and center. So I prefer the Dale & Rowney paper, which is seen better days, but this is what I like. Yeah, it's really easy to find, and it handles watercolor and gouache quite nicely. So that's what I use for practice, basically. And then in terms of my sketchbooks, I use my Moleskine sketchbooks for gouache, but I've recently used the Sea White sketchbook for the 10-hour challenge, and that was nicer to work in actually than the Moleskine, and it's cheaper. So if you're in the UK, that would be one to look out for.
I've got a Sea White one that I've not actually used yet. It's still in its wrapping.
Welcome to the club. If I were to show you the number of things that I have that are still in pristine condition, it's actually quite shameful. I've now got a bookshelf so that I can see it to stop me buying more. So everything's out there.
I've got about 6 sketchbooks that are still wrapped and I haven't used.
Don't worry, I have more. Don't worry, you're in good company. I have a lot more. I have now 7 active sketchbooks that I'm using, and I don't even know, maybe 10 that I'm not. In fact, even more than that, I have palettes, watercolor palettes. But yeah, was there anything in particular that you guys were perhaps struggling with, or that you wanted to ask about gouache, or that you wanted to see me do today? Which paper should I use? Pardon? No? No. Okay.
I'd be interested in how to choose colours, because I get stuck on which colours go well to which colours go well together and how to mix them and things like that.
Okay, like colour theory. How do you feel about colour theory, Lorna, Miss Ebony? Is that something?
The thing is, I like to see, when you're looking at a picture and you try to match that color, and you do it so fast, I just don't get it.
If it's any consolation for me, I don't match the colors. I don't match the colors perfectly. It's very much based on the colors that I like the look of, as opposed to what they actually are. But we can do a painting together, and as I do that, I will talk through my color choices and I'll mix the colors, and then you're welcome to paint along, or you're also welcome to just watch and ask questions as we go. I should say that for palettes, this is just in terms of last things about equipment. I use palette paper, purely out of
I've
laziness.
heard that. I've not got any, but is it worth buying it?
You don't need it. I just use it out of laziness. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
I use it because, well, I use it for two reasons. One, like it's nice and big. Two, I can reuse the sheets over and over again. And with gouache, because we can reactivate it, it means quite often when I'm doing one painting, I'll use one palette and I'll just keep reworking like the colors. So I don't know if you can see that I'll start with one color and then I'll mix it and then mix it and then work my way through. And I think in a way that's perhaps maybe why some of my pieces look quite cohesive, because they all have a similar color. They all started from the same palette. You run the risk of making things muddy if you do it too much, but for me it's worked fine thus far. So I like using palette paper because I can reuse the palette papers, but more so it's just because I don't want to have to keep cleaning palettes over and over and over again and throwing away paint, especially gouache, which I know can be reactivated, makes me sad. so I keep using palette paper. And I only turn. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I'd also like to know how to avoid making mud, because I seem to have this problem where I'm mixing colours and I just end up making this horrible brown colour.
Okay. Cool. Let me see. I have something. I have been trying to. I wanted to do a video on colour mixing for the longest time, but I just kept going back and forth because I wasn't sure if the way that I was explaining it would make sense to anyone. So I never actually finished editing it. But we can go through it now. I was just looking to see if I still had the pieces that I made in that video, but I don't think I do. So we'll do it quickly now. So I'll talk about color choices and color theory, and then we'll do a painting together. This tripod, thank you, by the way. This tripod was courtesy of you guys supporting through Ko-fi.
Oh.
So I really appreciate it. Before I was using a windowsill and a Gorilla. Am I upside down for you? I am, aren't I? Just give me. Are you? My hand's here, so it's upside down.
Yeah.
Just give me 2 seconds. Yeah, before that I was using a windowsill and a Gorilla tripod, which, to be honest, like, it worked, but in my new place I didn't have a windowsill. But now I feel like a proper artist and a proper, I'm actually able to not only get overhead shots, but also side on shots and less shaky footage. So I appreciate it. Thank you. If
You're very welcome. I noticed, by the way, that you're at 98% of your goal.
I know. Thank you so much. I can't believe it. It's yeah, I honestly didn't know what to expect out of starting a Ko-fi, but I like getting to hang out with you guys has seriously exceeded my expectations. For one thing, I was like, oh, nobody's going to join for a while. I'll just be on my own talking to myself, and then eventually people will join. But you guys joined off the bat, so I really appreciate it. I'm just getting. Let's see. Look. Sorry, one of the downsides of my new place is that it's so loud and there's a lot of sirens. So I'm safe, I'm okay.
I live in central Birmingham, so I know.
It's so unreal. It's so. Connect, done.
I have to apologise, by the way. I've got 2 cats and they might randomly meow at some point.
That's okay. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having all this technical difficulty.
It's okay.
That's not what Hello? Am I still here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the screen like went black. I was like, oh no. Server setting, create channel.
I mean, I'm sure it won't hurt if you paint upside down.
It will be. I think it will be too confusing for everyone to follow.
No, I see things upside down all the time.
Do you? Why are you seeing things upside down? Although, to be fair, that's a really good trick for improving painting and drawing.
Upside down.
Yeah.
Your proportions will be more accurate than they would be if you drew right side up.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wonder. I haven't tried the same for painting, but I may do one day. Edit server.
Have you tried have any of you tried the Holbein gouache, the normal one?
I haven't.
No.
I haven't.
I've seen another YouTuber use it all the time, and they really like it.
Yeah. I was just wondering.
It's really nice. The thing is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
No, it is on my wish list as well, but you're right, it's very expensive. Although oddly enough, here it's cheaper than Schminke, because that's the other one I wanted to try.
Yeah, I want to try both Schminke and Holbein gouache as well.
You have very good taste.
Jackson's has a sale right now on the Holbein. Is it the Holbein gouache or the Holbein watercolor?
Is the watercolor that I wanted, but I think they only had a sale on the. I don't know if it's like a season set, so it's not like their main range. I think they've created something slightly different.
I saw that. If you know somebody in Japan,
You're right.
that's the easiest way to get it.
I got my acrylic gouache shipped from Japan. It was only £8. It was supposed to, but over here it's £40.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I didn't realize. I knew that there would be some sort of like price difference, but I didn't think it would be that big.
Yeah, it was £8, and then I went back to try and find the website to order more things, and the website has just disappeared. But it still turned up though, like on my doorstep.
So at least it was legit. Okay, I think it's going to work. There's no.
It's $6.
Oh.
Is there two of me? Device settings.
There's an orange.
There's an orange.
Yeah. I think someone else has joined, but they haven't got the microphone on.
No, that's me.
Oh, sorry.
Yay, no. I'm here. Okay. Right way up, hopefully. Right?
No, you're sorry.
You're sideways.
What? So 90 degrees, but
It's just frozen now, the image. Oh, there we go.
now, right way up now?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
Let me see what you can see. Show you my palette as well.
How long does it stay wet for, by the way?
The gouache.
The stay wet palette.
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's upside down for me. Is it?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's
It's upside down as well.
To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure. I've seen like some because I don't have one. I've seen some videos where people say for a few days. Some people have said longer, but I think I would personally maybe use it like in terms of like painting sessions. So if you know you're going to be painting a lot that week, then you use it. But it's not what I would use to it's not what I would use to store paint for weeks and weeks and weeks, just because I get very paranoid about mold.
Yeah, I get worried about that. I get worried about that with my watercolors. Like I leave the lid open for them to come till they're bone dry.
Yeah, which is good. I think gouache maybe is slightly more likely in the stay wet palettes, but to mold, but it's okay. I'm so sorry for that disruption, but I believe you can see everything now, and we're the right way up. Okay, success. Finally. I'll get one of the pictures. Did you see, in terms of reference photos, I've also created a series of references on Ko-fi for you. I do that every month, just as a heads up. And
I didn't know about that, so I'll go and have a look for those later.
no, that's all right. So the Venice ones are there. Malta is there. The landscapes that I used for my 30-day challenge are there, and they're open to everyone. And then I'm going to do another one of Kew Gardens because I recently went there. So be on the lookout for that and airdrop. Cool. What do you think about this for a reference photo?
Sorry, I can only see half of it.
Oh.
If you move it to the left, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, shall we try this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
And they have the colors that you like, I hope.
Yeah, look, yeah.
Okay. And can you get a good enough look at it if I zoom in?
Yeah, you gotta shift it to your left.
Okay. Better? No?
Basically, we can see 2/3 of the paper and a tiny little slither on the right of the iPad.
Oh, you have a completely different view to me.
Yeah.
What if you click? What if you click on me in terms of if you click on to make my screen bigger? Does that make sense?
How do I do that?
If you click on this screen, it should make everyone else smaller.
No, it's not doing that.
Yeah, double click.
Double click on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can see everything.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
That's much better.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, good. Perfect. So, we'll start off. I'll do it big, and also be sure to have this to the side. So I'm going to be using the Dana Rowney brushes. I recently received the Etcher brushes as well, which are gouache brushes. But I don't know if you can tell that they are slightly softer. If I like push down, and I don't know how to demonstrate it, but they are like very, very soft.
You can see.
Yeah. So again, I think it would come down to personal preference. It means that they could really hold water when I was painting with them, but it wasn't quite as firm. So if I was trying to do like thick layers of gouache, it just didn't feel quite right to me. But then again, I don't know if that's how gouache brushes are meant to be. I can only advise on what is easier for me to do. But what am I looking for? So normally, what I will do is start with the first layer, and to be honest, I think there are different ways to paint. You can try to almost do it as if you're doing like a coloring book and do it section by section, or you can do the whole thing almost as if you're doing watercolor and do layers upon layers upon layers. And I like to do everything layers upon layers upon layers.
Yeah.
So for my first layer, I pick up the paint, water it down. So it's very like watery. And have you all seen the video that I created on the 3 techniques of using gouache? Yeah, okay, so then this bit will make sense. So I start off with the main colors that I see. I'm not too precious about it because I know that because it is quite watered down, I'm going to go over it later anyway. So I'm just literally putting down the rough colors that I see.
I'm not sure if I've seen that video, sorry.
No, that's okay. It's in it I was basically talking about the top 3 techniques that I would recommend trying and experimenting with when starting off with gouache. And the first one focuses on consistency, and that's essentially because not for acrylic gouache but for normal gouache, sorry, a traditional gouache, you can layer on top of it as long as you start off with a watered down layer, and then the layer after that has a bit less water and more paint, and then the layer after that has again more water and less paint, and you work your way up like that. So the very first layer that I do when I'm painting in gouache and the videos and everything else is very much watered down, because I know that I will go back over the top of it again. Yeah, so this very first layer is almost looks like watercolor.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Like watercolor.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just doing that to get rid of the white of the paper, to try and figure out what colors I want there. And then I take it from there. I'm not too precious about it. And for example, the next color is like towards the top here is a little bit browny and a little bit gray.
Yeah.
So going to make grays, you basically want to have all 3 primaries together, and you can make it in a number of different ways. Let's see.
Is that your Winsor & Newton you've got in there?
Yes, it is. So I'm making like a dark brown, and then if I go in and I add a bit of white, I've basically created a gray. So in order to create that gray, I mixed my burnt umber. So I mixed a brown with a blue and then added some white. But essentially, if you have all 3 primary colors and then you add white, you'll end up getting a gray. So sometimes you may have a brown and then you add white to it and it starts looking grayish. That's why. So I've created this gray to, again, just fill in the back. I'm going to water it down. One of the main, I don't want to say issues necessarily, but one of the main things with gouache is that it can be quite difficult / next to impossible to recreate a color to recreate the same color, because the gouache itself will shift. It will change color. Lighter colors will dry darker. Darker colors will dry lighter. So if you know that, for example, you want to do a matte background, it is better to mix all that color, like more than enough for it, so that you can do it in one go, than to try and mix it and then you run out and then you try and mix that same color again, because inevitably what will happen is you'll mix a slightly different shade. And that will be acceptable to you for some paintings, but not for others.
I've had that problem with watercolor.
Yeah, that will happen with watercolor as well. But watercolor usually is a little bit, can be a little bit easier to mix, because quite often it will dry lighter. So you just mix a bit darker. Whereas with gouache, you don't know if the color that you're seeing has dried darker or has dried lighter. So I'm literally putting down brown. I mean, this to you must look like an absolute mess at the moment, but I promise it will hopefully look better towards the end. It's funny. That's the funny thing about doing like lives. I start it in faith with the hope that it will go well, but I cannot guarantee anything. But at least the principles will still be the same. So I'm basically doing this big block shape here.
Yeah.
And doing everything in big block shapes. And picking up some of the yellow.
Do it in block shapes and then fill in the details after. Is that the best way to go about it?
That's the way that I prefer. I find that if I try to start off doing too many details straight away, the painting doesn't look, one, it will take me a lot longer, but then it won't necessarily look as like loose. Someone said that I paint in like quite an impressionistic style. I haven't gone to art school, so I can't like attest to that or not, but I find that it works a bit better for me if I do that first. And I think in general, if you want to if you're not doing hyper realism, then yes, it would work better this way. Next I'm seeing here, so it's mainly white here, but no white is ever truly purely white, so I think there's a bit of blue.
Yeah, I was going to say blue.
Yeah, so I'm going to use this coolish blue. I'll try and avoid using the colors that don't come in the introductory set so that you can so that we all have the same colors. So I'm just mixing very light blue, still very watery, which again I know later on I will go over, and then I'll add some blue here as well. But as well as blue, I'm seeing like little hints of green. So I'm going to get some green.
Like a teal color.
Exactly. So I'm going to get some green and mix that in as well. And then add some white so that they are both quite pale. And I see it mainly here.
Gouache, is it better to go light to dark or dark to light first?
Do you mean in terms of layering on top?
Yeah.
They say it's better to layer dark. No, they say you can layer light on top of dark.
Okay.
So the opposite to watercolor, or rather that you can do it that way. I prefer to layer dark on top of light. I think it's just easier and it means I have to use less paint. But I am not I'm not too precious, because I know that whichever way I do it, I can layer on top. Whether light on top dark or dark on top of light, I can do it either way.
So is watercolor light to dark?
Yeah. You can't layer a light with watercolor. If you try to layer a light color on top of a dark color, it won't necessarily work unless you're like glazing. So you're basically changing the general feel of the color by going over the top. But you can't with gouache. If I want to put white on top of this, any of this, I can. But with watercolor, it wouldn't work. So that's like my first layer. Is anyone painting a long? I know I didn't really explain much as I was going.
I'm in bed, so no.
No, don't worry.
I'm just watching you.
I'm trying.
Okay. Let me know if I'm going too fast at any point. And I will slow down.
To do another one of these videos for watercolor?
Yeah, of course. I love painting with you guys. You're welcome. I know I shouldn't be drinking Coke, but the heart wants what the heart wants.
I drink it. Not the full sugary one, but
No, it's the Coke Zero. I feel like because I'm a doctor, I can't do certain things online. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I'm representing all of medicine, so I can't do anything bad on the internet. Like,
What type of doctor are you?
women's health, so most of the time on labor ward, delivering babies, doing sections, all that good jazz.
Are you like a registrar or?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that was a good guess.
Yeah. Yeah, very. Next, so I'll do my next layer. It's better to wait for it to dry completely if you're going over the top. If you don't wait for the gouache to dry completely and you go on top, you will just end up mixing the two. To answer your question, Lorna, are you happy or shall I pause for a second to talk about color mixing? I don't want to rush it, if that makes sense. I don't want to rush you.
Well, surprisingly, I've kept up.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Yeah, so we'll do the next layer. So my bit in the middle is still a bit wet.
Yeah, mine's wet. But...
Okay, so let's both wait. And while we wait, we'll talk about color theory for a second. What is she looking for?
I know the basics of color theory, but not the details.
Okay. I'll explain why you may be getting mud. I keep running out of yellow. That's my... I'll put some on my palette. I've had to buy it separately.
Binder in the new tubes.
Pardon?
Opening the new tubes, there's a lot of binder.
Yeah, some people, to be honest...
Some liquid anyway.
Yeah, coming through. I, to be honest, haven't had much of that. But when I was watching reviews, I did see quite a few people mention it. So I did...
Once you get past that,
it's okay.
Sorry to ask a daft question, but how do you know if you've got binder coming through? What does it look like?
Like white oil, like an oily substance.
Yeah.
Instead of paint, it will look like a... Pardon? And what do you do about it? You just mix it in. You can use a toothpick to mix it into your paint, to mix it in the tube. So it's basically, it shouldn't have separated, but for some reason it has.
So just mix it back in, basically?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in terms of color theory and what I keep in mind when I'm doing my paintings, roughly, I imagine the primaries not as 3 colors, but as 6. So a warm and a cool version of each one. And if all this makes sense and you don't need it, please just let me know. I don't mind. This is a slightly cooler one. And what I imagine warm colors leaning towards red and cool colors leaning towards blue. Right? So if I'm doing a color wheel, for example, and I start here, and while we do this, we can also talk about blending gouache if you like. I like blending it. I can blend it either on the paper or on the palette. But quite often I will go from palette and then move across. So, but for the sake of this bit, we'll do that here. And add some more yellow. So I'm just doing a basic color wheel, starting off with the yellow, then moving to the red. And then I have the blue. And mixing these two together. And last but not least, I'm doing it quite watered down so that we can see the color rather than because we don't necessarily need the paint. So what happens if you imagine it like this, that these are the 6 colors together, and then if you end up mixing 3 primaries, you will end up getting either mud or you will end up getting gray. But it's never quite necessarily as straightforward as like, oh, okay, well, if I don't mix if as long as I don't mix all 3, it's fine. And the reason that that's the case is that if you imagine with yellows, you will have, and everything is relative. So a color will all of a sudden you'll describe it as cool, and then you'll put it next to another color, and all of a sudden it will start looking more orangey. So it's more so a comparison between the two. There are some that will be very clear towards one end of the spectrum, but some that are in the middle. So when I look at the colors, for example, with the yellows, this yellow is what I would call a cool yellow because it leans towards blue, which means that it's leaning more towards making a nice green than it would be an orange. Yeah. With this one, it's a bit more orange. So this is what I would call a warm, aka leaning towards red, yellow, right? If I were to do a mixture and be using this kind of yellow, for example, and then also mix it with like a purple, although it's technically still a yellow and I'm technically only using one color, because it to me is leaning towards red, it's almost as if you already have the red in it. You have a bit of red in it, you have a bit of yellow in it, and then if you add a blue, you'll start heading towards a black or a neutral color like a brown or a gray, purely because you have used reddish yellow. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Same when you're looking with the reds. This one looks pinkish, at least to me. It looks like a pinkish red. So this would make a really nice purple, which is why I used it here, because most of the time when I'm doing color wheels, for some reason, I always pick the cool blue and then I get ugly purples, but purple is one of my favorite colors, so I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah, purple and teal are my favorite colors.
Yeah, exactly. So if you use like a nice, coolish, pinkish looking red and you mix it with a warmish blue, like a purplish looking blue, then you'll get a nice purple. With the red, this one is leaning more towards orange. So if you mix it with a yellow, you'll get a really nice orange. If you mix it with a blue, you'll still get a purple. It may just not be quite as vibrant, and that's when you start heading towards brown.
So it would be like a greyish purple.
Yeah, or like for me, quite often it's like a brownish purple. If that makes sense. You can see it like here when I was doing with the Turner acrylic wash.
Oh, I can see.
Yeah, this is the color, and I tried to water it down as well to see if that would make a difference. But the reason that this is happening is because of the blues and the reds that I am using, even more so because this kind of blue will make a really nice purple, because it's a warm blue, it's leaning towards purple, it's leaning towards red, whereas this one is leaning more, it's like quite an icy cold blue, and this will make really nice and bright greens. Yeah, so it's a question of just knowing. And in my head, I try to think of the colors as to where they are leaning towards. So are they leaning towards yellow? Are they leaning towards red? Are they leaning towards blue? And if they are leaning quite heavily towards that one color, although I know that this is yellow, not yellow and red, I will think of it as yellow and red. And that will help me think in terms of, okay, well, if I start mixing quite a lot of blues with this color, then what kind of color am I actually going to get? It may not be quite as vibrant as I want it. So for example, if I wanted to make a really bright green, I would use this yellowy green, this greeny yellow, and I would use this super bright blue, and together they would make a really bright green. But sometimes the brightest of greens don't really look natural. They look almost like phthalo greens. You know, they look really beautiful and electric, but you don't really tend to see that very much in nature. So quite often, if you want to tone down a color, and make it a bit more realistic. If you want to mute it down, you should use the complementary color. And for me, quite often, and for me, when I'm painting greens, it means that I may add a tiny bit of a red to it to make it an olivey green. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys all with me? I haven't lost you. Sorry. I hope that makes sense.
I'm with you.
Perfect. And by now, hopefully,
Yeah.
Lorna, we've our painting has dried enough for us to do the next layer. So where should we start? So I normally like to start from the background and then as in what's further in the distance and then work my way forward. Doesn't always work that way, but that's what I'm going to try to do. So looking right at the background here, if I zoom in for you, there's a bit of light areas, some dark areas, and then some greenery right at the top. And on the side here, there is a waterfall. Yeah. So what I would normally do is, what we will do is block in the darker areas, then block in the lighter areas, and then leave the waterfall till last, because the waterfall will just go over whatever beautiful background we have created. Yeah.
That's so much easier than watercolor because you have to just leave the white area with watercolor.
Yeah. No, and gouache. I think is one of the reasons I like it so much. So to mix the darker area, let's see. I'm going to use my warmish blue, I don't know whether don't actually remember what Winsor and Newton call their colors on the tubes. And I'm mixing this slightly thicker than the layer before, so it has less water. I think this will probably end up being just 2, maybe 3 layers.
Can you use a heat tool with gouache to dry it quicker?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I do. You know, some people say you shouldn't use it for watercolor either, but it takes so long otherwise. Yeah. Just takes so long. Then I'm using Lorna, do you have this kind of color? I don't remember if it's part of the introductory set. It's this brown.
Is it like burnt umber?
Yeah, it's like an umber. Do you have it?
I've got burnt umber, yeah.
I think burnt umber may be darker.
Dark.
It's darker? Okay, fine. If you have burnt umber, even better. We'll use burnt umber. So I'm gonna mix burnt umber with the blue. And that means I have this kind of color. Looks almost black.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm just going to do rough, big shapes where I think the shadows are. So there's a shadow here. So I'm going to go there and do like that.
Is that a really dark blue? I can't quite tell.
It's blue with burnt umber. So if I water it down so that you can see it, looks blackish.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And going to
Just
keep using that.
It's hard to tell on the screen what the colours are.
Yeah, I think also because I use a light it's hard to balance it, I think, because there can be a glare, but then at the same time, if I turn off the light, you won't really see much. So if there's any bit that isn't clearer, just let me know and I can move around. So I'm just mixing a little bit more of that color because mine is too watery. And the reason it's too watery is because I'm running out of my umber. And
where do you go to find the photographs that you paint?
I get them from Unsplash quite often, but there's I think I made a video on it like ages ago, but in terms of like other places, there's Unsplash, there's Pexels, there's Pixabay. You can also like change the filter on Google to get royalty-free pictures, but they're not as good as the ones on the sites that I've mentioned. And then also I take them myself sometimes. Nothing as beautiful as this yet. I haven't had the opportunity to travel to travel here, wherever here is, as of yet. So I'm not in terms of like where I'm placing the shadows, I'm not going to lie, there isn't much of a I guess method to it. I'm just blocking in general big colors and trying my hardest not to be symmetrical, because that's not natural in nature. The darker colors will start to get lighter, and as that happens, I want to, you remember this gray that we have underneath, I don't mind parts of it peeking through. I think that's why, you know, it's nice to have, but I want to do a layer on top of it, because the first layer that I did was very watered down. If the first layer that I had done was maybe like in the video that I showed you guys, maybe if it was maybe a bit more like this and less like watercolor, then I wouldn't be so bothered as to covering most of it. But because it's more like this and I can see so much of the water coming through, I want to go over it again. So I still have some of that gray, but it's very watery. So I'm going to mix some more. And for my color mixing, my color choices, I know I will not get that same gray again. I know that it won't be perfect, and that's fine. As long as I get a gray that resembles it and that is nice, I think that variety is a good thing. Like, it's a very good thing when painting, especially when you're doing landscapes. So I've taken the cool blue again. And to be perfectly honest, even with this mixture, this dark mixture that we have, hold on. My battery's about to die. Okay, it should be good. So even if I use this mixture that we used and I add some of the white, it turns gray. Yeah. So I can do that. I just want it to be thicker, and then I go next to these areas that I have already done. If the edges are both wet, then you can start getting like a wet on wet effect. That may be a good thing if you like it, or an annoying thing if you don't. But if it's slightly wet, then it does mean that you can also almost like blend by rubbing the edges where they are next to each other. And that can mean that you get slightly softer transitions between the colors. So I'm literally going right on the edges of where it goes from dark to light and applying that gray. And then I know that I will want some more gray, but I think I want it to be a little bit lighter. And here, I'm just blending the two colors together by wiping off. So I don't have any, like I haven't picked up any paint on the brush. I'm just using a slightly damp brush to mix those two edges.
Have you tried any other gouache apart from Winsor and Newton and Himi?
I tried the one from the Works because it was £3, just with the hopes that, you know, I could find an amazing paint for £3 and use it forever to my heart's content. but it turns out you get what you pay for. so it still worked. Like, I did a video where I did 3 paintings, or no, I did maybe like 3 or 4 paintings using those the gouache, all 3, so that I could compare. So it still worked. You could still do it. It's just harder and not as enjoyable.
And I'm guessing it was probably quite streaky as well.
Yeah, it was. I wonder if I can remember where I did, which sketchbook I did it in. I'll pull it up in a little while. But it was I'm just adding more white to our grey mixture to make it lighter. But yeah, if I can remember where I did it, I will show you. But it's still it still worked, as in you can still get okay results. It won't be light fast and it won't be as enjoyable to create. But if that's the budget, then you can still do it. So I've just got some of that lighter grey, and I'm trying to have a rough look to see where the lightest areas are, and they tend to be right in the middle. But I don't want to do like a big block of a light color. I'm just adding accents to where I think that they would be. And this lighter color you'll see will shift to become darker. And if it does, that's okay. And now there's also a bit of greenery on there. So I'm taking, in theory I could mix my own green, but I don't have I'm running so low on yellow, I guess, because I keep mixing greens. So I'm going to use the permanent green that comes in the set. And it's too bright for me. So I will get a bit of red. Which red should I use? Let me use the slightly cooler tomato-ish-esque red. And we'll see. That made brown. That's not the color I wanted. So I add more green. And that's made like an olivey dark green. Can you see?
Yeah, I like that green.
Yeah, and that's because of the red and the thing. I only more recently started adding red to my greens, and I think it's been a really nice addition, if I do say so myself. So now I'm still going over. I'm still using like a similar consistency to what we were using for the second layer, because I'm still in the second layer. I'm just adding bits of green, and this green is quite dark, so I'm adding it in like the darker areas, if that makes sense, where there's less light, and then we can make a brighter green for the slightly brighter areas. But again, I'm just dotting it around wherever I want. I know I keep looking at the reference, but I can't even see this bit over here. I don't think, is there anything there? It might actually be the picture. No, I thought it was the light reflecting on it, but it's actually the picture. I feel less bad about that now. So I'm just adding bits of green.
What's the most amount of layers that you've done on a painting?
Oh no, I don't do that many. I think maybe 4. Maybe 5 actually, but I'm not like especially watercolor, I hardly ever layered. It's only now that I want to like experiment with layering it a bit more.
Yeah.
I'm going back over that same green and I want it slightly different, so I am going to have to use my yellow. I'm mixing the yellow into it. And now we have a super bright green. Adding a little bit more green. Adding a little bit of red. Mate, that red is so powerful. Okay, start again. Yeah, what is this? Okay, and then I think the last thing I added was a little bit of green, and now it's like calmed down a little bit. And to me, this looks like a nice, slightly lighter, more yellowy, natural green. I just think the permanent green is too bright. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a fan of bright green colours.
No, me either. I mean, I feel like they have a place. It's just when I look at nature, it's not like that striking. It would be scary if I were to see like a phthalo green on a tree, like in real life.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what's going on?
I mean, I use colours like phthalo green just for mixing.
Yeah. Me too. So I'm adding those greens in. Do I want to add more? I'm just adding them next to some of the like darker spots to almost indicate that there's like light in the middle. Everything is darker. So towards the left on this side and towards the right on that side, I'm adding more. And then I can see that there's more greens here. So I'm adding them, even though I know that we will make them a bit darker later. And to be perfectly honest, I did make our lives a bit harder by not sketching. We just started straight with painting. So kudos. My ears are so blocked. So if I ask you to repeat yourself, that's why. It's not you, it's me.
Have you got a cold?
Yeah.
Oh,
no. I'm going to be moving hospitals. So we all went out on Friday. And I think one of the consultants had a cold. So now the whole department has a cold. We've checked it's not corona, but it's like you can tell everyone who basically came out with us. Adding some more yellow, laying off the red for now, to that same mixture, just to add some lighter spots. Still in the same consistency. And yeah, I know I said that, I could use more yellow. This is why I've run out of yellow. That I could use 200 GSM. But to be honest, this is 200 GSM and it's warping a little bit. Can you see on the back? So I think 300 would be best. Because we've only done 2 layers and it's already warping. But
it looks like a cliff now with bits of greenery on it.
Yeah, we're getting there. Honestly, all live streams are by faith. I have no idea when I start whether it's going to be a train wreck or whether it's going to go well. But I'm always hopeful that it will go well. Now, which bits shall we do next? So we're working forward. We can do this middle area now. Let's try doing the rocks. I really want, I want to try doing the rocks. So we'll mix this dark color. So we have burnt umber. If you give me 2 seconds, let me. Evidently another popular color of mine because it's almost all finished. And adding some more of, see, normally I would add Prussian blue, but let's try with the cooler blue again, but a little bit, not a lot, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. I'm having to use more because it's thicker. so there's more paint. So the dark blue is just making it darker and darker. And try again to block in the big shapes. And we are going to cover almost all of this.
So you wouldn't want worry about this that it's too dark because it'll dry lighter.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it doesn't, I can go back and add light on top of it. I think hence why I love gouache. We have such a complicated relationship, Wash and I.
I'm starting to think gouache is easier than watercolor.
Yeah, I think so. It's like once you get the hang of water control and consistency and you accept that the colors will shift, so you can kind of like adjust for it a little bit. Like, for example, this is a bit too, well, this at the moment looks too dark, but it will dry lighter. So I know that it may not be dark enough for me at the moment, but that's okay. Yeah. So once you get over like those little snags, it gets so much easier. Like and so nice. I'm going to use this orangey yellow, aka this warm yellow, and mix it with this brown color that we have made. Get it a little bit more moist. I want something a bit more brown. See, I want this color.
I love how gently you just put your brush in that water there.
Thank you. Again, it's water control, because if I like dab it and then I water it down, I just have to add more and more paint, which I wouldn't necessarily have had to otherwise. This is not the color that I want. Do you have this color in your set? Or is this one that I bought myself?
There's probably one you bought before, but go for it.
It is. Do you have burnt sienna?
No.
I've got it in acrylic gouache.
Okay.
Yellow ochre and burnt umber.
Okay. You have yellow ochre. Let's use yellow ochre then. We'll try and mix it, because that's essentially what I have mixed unintentionally.
Yeah, I've got yellow ochre as well.
Okay, so we'll try yellow ochre, and I'm gonna add red again. Yes, okay, cool. So I've mixed yellow ochre with the cool pinkish looking red, which hasn't overpowered it. It's created this color. Which is quite bright, but it's okay. This will again dry darker. And again, just blocking in the rough shapes. There's a rock. Did I just like leave out a rock? There's a rock here as well. And with this, I'm not going to lie, if I try to paint each individual rock, I will lose my mind. So I just look at the ones that I actually want to include and that I think are nice for the piece, and everything else will be suggested. So that's why, like, I feel like this big rock here is important. This rock here is important. This rock here is important. Everything else here will just look to some like rocks, to some like foliage, and I'm okay with that. I'm picking up that dark brown that we mixed earlier again to do the dark side of this rock that I had completely forgotten about. Because they're both wet, they're mixing a little bit. And if I sometimes it's not nice with this consistency, it's not necessarily nice if they're like bleeding into each other. In order to blend, to make them actually transition nicely, I wipe off the excess paint and then I rub the edges together so that it's actually like blended rather than let it happen naturally. And 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 then colors wise, I feel like so we have that yellow ochre color. Hold on. I'm mixing it in the gray that we had before because it's not gray enough. I want like this top bit here looks like a little bit gray-esque, so it just looks a little bit less saturated. This color is not light enough. And that's better. Just to do that top bit, and then I'm just dragging the paint along the edges. And if you're doing it like I am, you may... No, go ahead.
Sorry, how do you find time to fit in all this around your work?
I don't do anything else. I have it's yeah, no, to be fair, like I just try to make time. I really do enjoy painting, and I think through having like a YouTube channel and now Ko-fi and everything, it's meant that I've almost like had to make self-care part of like a stable part or stable routine, because like there's a level of accountability, which is quite which is quite good. But I just try to do it like between work. I know that if I'm on call, I won't really get anything else done. Like I can barely feed myself after. But if I'm not on call, and then that means that I get home at like 7, then maybe I can do some video editing, or I'm just trying to balance and do what I can. The struggle that say I'm facing is because it feels like I have such limited time to paint or to create. I'm now like it's now become harder to find time to paint just for myself, if that makes sense. Because I know that if I paint and I don't video it, I may not get a YouTube video this week. So let me video it just in case, so that I have time to edit it. And so that's the thing that I think I'm going to be working on moving forward, just trying to like get that balance again, so that I can create out for myself.
Do some painting just for you.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like that it's not recorded, or not with no purpose, basically. But we'll see. That being said, like I enjoy live streams and things that feel slightly different, but it's more trying to be productive all the time, and I'm trying to stop that. So this can you tell this is the same color, but can you see how much lighter it's dried? This is the wet one, and this is the the dried one.
Oh wow.
So that's what I mean by color shift. So I'm going back over it again, and I may make it darker still later. And now
I guess that's why having a swatch chart is good, so you know what color is going to dry as.
Yeah. It can be helpful, but it won't necessarily be it will help you when you look back and you're like, oh. But I'm not very much of a planner when I'm painting, so I think in theory, in order for it to be helpful, you would have to pre-mix your colors, swatch them out, wait for them to dry, and then paint. I would never be able to do that, because I'm very impatient. Like my personality is very impatient. Adding some more white to that grey mixture, this brown mixture.
I was thinking more of if you had like a palette of colours, then you could swatch them. If you just used them straight from the palette.
Yeah, no, I should do that. Even now, I should have one for that. But I think because I don't carry it, because I put this on and I don't want the paper to get wet, I haven't actually done that. But yeah, it's definitely helpful to have a swatch sheet. Trying to see. So the color that I want now is like this slightly brighter color. So I'm adding the warm yellow to the brownie mixture that we had to see. Is it just brownie? Which is like grey-esque. And then adding a bit of yellow ochre, basically is what I've mixed. And what do I want? Adding a little bit of that cool red, sorry, not the warm red that was overpowering everything, but the warm red that makes nice purples. And let's see. Oh my gosh, that's still too too dark. So let me add some of the bright yellow. And that's a bit better.
I just saw that you got Minnie's book.
Yeah. I haven't flicked through it. It literally arrived right before we were due to start.
I got it for the Kindle.
Oh, good. I hope it's good.
Around here, I need just get it for the Kindle. You won't flip in the pages, but you won't be I won't be stuffing my room with too many books.
What book is it?
It's called the 30-Day Sketchbook Project.
Oh, okay, I've not heard of that one.
Is it? Do you know Minnie Small? Small. I keep saying her surname like as if I'm saying Roman Schmall.
Yeah. Minnie Small.
Yeah, Minnie Small. She's a YouTuber,
Thank you.
and she just released a book. So I'm going to have
a lot of activities that you can do with watercolor, gouache, markers, everything. It looks nice. It's really nice.
That's the thing. She's so. No, go ahead.
Sorry, it sounds like my sort of book.
Yeah. She's so good and so thorough.
She's really good at teaching.
Yeah, so that I was like, I don't even know what's in it, but I know that I'm going to get it. And I'm not usually like a book person. I prefer videos and things, but I just thought it would be nice.
Did you say it was on Kindle? Did I hear that?
Yeah, it's on Kindle, and there's a paper version as well. So I've just received the actual book version. I'm gonna have to go and clean my water so that you guys.
Recommend any books for gouache?
To be perfectly honest, I don't have any. Not because there aren't good ones, but just because I don't tend to read. You're looking on your Kindle.
No, I'm looking on my phone under the Kindle.
I'll change my water in a second.
For gouache, depends on what you want to do. Botanicals.
Oh yeah, botanical. I love botanical.
Yeah. Because there's also some for watercolor, but most of mine are watercolor. But there's one called. Give me the cover, please.
So I've accidentally.
4 easy steps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so like art supplies and collect books.
What color is this?
So have you got any watercolor book recommendations as well that would be good as well?
There's
I've mixed this color unintentionally, which I have next to no purpose for. So I'm just looking to see where it will fit. And because it's like a slightly dark browny green, I'm just applying it in the darkest of areas near the foliage, just in case you're wondering what is this.
I think that's what I need to do is just get my palette paper out or get a plate. Just get a plate out or
Yeah.
my palette and just start mixing colors.
Yeah.
With no intention of painting anything, just mix colors to see what colors I get. Watercolors. Hold on. There's The Joy of Botanical Drawing.
Thank you. I am making notes of these, by the way.
The Art of Botanicals. Mind you, is sketches that got me to get more into flowers. Just watching their videos.
Thank you. I find them so relaxing to create. It's I find like with gouache, with gouache landscapes more specifically, there's more thought going behind what I am doing.
Yeah.
Whereas with florals, I can just switch off and paint.
And creative watercolor, but that's more like drawing shapes and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
If you're bored, you just draw shapes and then you make little doodles in the shapes type of thing.
I'm using
Thank you.
some burnt umber and then the blue again. So you see I'm using, so normally I don't use this blue. I don't normally use this combination, but it's almost like if I'm doing a painting and I've used that combination quite a lot in like a particular part, then I will start off that same base and change that color, if that makes sense. So because I've used like this cool blue with this burnt umber quite a lot, I keep going back to it. So my shadows will be similar, my florals, my like foliage in it will be similar, my rocks will be similar color, etc., etc. But no, it's good. I think this is the only, no, I have 2 books. Neither I've read as of yet. Minnie's one arrived today, and then the other one I have is like James Gurney's book. That I need to read.
Gurney.
Yeah. He did
the Art of Light and Shadow.
Yeah.
I'm just, I bought that book and it's just sitting there
Yeah.
looking at me.
Mine is also still in pristine mint condition, but it is one that I like definitely want to read at some point. Because I anticipate it will be quite good.
Years. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you don't.
I find that it's easier for me. It's easier to learn from like videos than books. I don't know why.
Yeah, everyone just learns differently. Me too. Hence why I have a YouTube thing.
I'm more hands-on. And I said, I'll probably go to England and let Sketches just guide my hand.
And be like, oh, you just move it like this.
Yeah. Like in class, like I was telling you, the last time I painted in public was I went to a wine and it was not a wine and drawing because it was in a church. But everybody drew the same thing, did the same thing.
Yeah, like a sip and paint.
So we followed along.
I did a mini version of that a while back, and I called it. But I love to eat, so I did like brunch and brushes basically. So we ate brunch and then we painted together. I was like, oh, you can't paint hungry. So I still have. So I have still using that same brown mixture, adding some white to it because this rock here is grey-esque. And it's also got blue. normally, I mean, I am a sucker for this teal blue right here. This is like the most expensive paint tube I have. Cobalt turquoise is cobalt turquoise light.
It
I
looks like that the most expensive Daniel Smith watercolor.
oh, is
It's a series 5, and it's so hard to get.
I literally only got this one because I'm just adding a bit of blue. Normally I would add that color. Do I want to add blue? Maybe I want to add green actually. I got it because Sarah Burns was talking about it. I think she was using it and talking about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it's quite a good color. It's expensive, but it's worth it." And I was like, "Oh, it's so expensive. I don't want to try it." And then I tried it, and now it's like I just know it will be a staple in my palette forever. So I added some white to that gray mixture, and I'm going to add some green to make it like a greeny gray, if there's such a thing, because this to me looks a little bit green.
I have cobalt teal. And
Is that the Daniel Smith one?
Yeah. And then core.
Adding some more white.
I have cobalt teal and core.
In core.
Cobalt turquoise.
No, people say it's good for mixing, or yeah. Do I use it to mix a little bit, but primarily, even standalone, I just think it's such a beautiful color.
I think I had ordered it, and it was between phthalo turquoise and cobalt turquoise.
Even was that the Daniel Smith one? I think on my dot card I was looking at those two, and I was like stuck.
Yeah.
Did I get it? No, I didn't get it. I think because it was so expensive, I told myself I had to calm down.
You don't have cobalt turquoise.
No. I had to.
Which color do you want to replace with that? I said, give me phthalo turquoise. Dang it.
Adding some blue to this white. And then some burnt umber again.
Colours because they're quite expensive in the UK.
They are so expensive. It's actually
I've been collecting Schmincke colours. So.
But Schmincke is expensive too, no?
Oh, they were on sale at Jackson's. They were on a sale.
Yeah, actually, I got the Schmincke palette when it was on sale. The Daniel Smith colors again when they're on sale, but they're rarely on sale. Like I keep waiting for it. Even when they did,
I've been waiting for a Daniel Smith sale for 6 months now.
I think everyone's like literally waiting. I'm hoping that in Black Friday it will happen. I mean, ideally before then, but at least Black Friday. I just want to mix this kind of like dark color for the shade of this rock, and I feel like it's more grey.
Sorry, the Jacksons take part in Black Friday.
Yeah.
That's bad for my bank.
That's actually how I got into like Jackson's. My second haul was the Jackson's Black Friday haul, and I went to town.
£500.
No, this is so shameful. That was the Amazon one. This one was £250, and oddly enough, I think I got better. So the £400 one was Casa. That was my very first one.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Casa one.
Yeah, that's the one. My sister gave me a voucher, and then I will use any and all possible discounts. So obviously, like if they have NHS discount, I'll use it. If they do price match, I will use it. If they have student discount, because I'm a master's student, hey, I'll use it. If any and everything to try and drive that price down. Just to try and get it. Lorna, did you see this color that I mixed? I didn't talk. I got lost halfway talking through it. So I mixed the brown. I mixed the burnt umber and added a bit of I started with, what did I do? I mixed the white with the burnt umber and the cool blue, but it's got more blue than all the other mixtures that we've used. So if I didn't keep running out of this color, so if you still had that initial like brownie color that we were using here, if you add a bit more blue, yeah, yeah. It's just because I keep running out, that's why. But if you add a bit more blue to that same color, that's basically this. I keep remixing because I keep running out of the color.
Yeah, I think it was you that put me onto Jackson's.
Really?
And I'm
Oh my gosh.
It was you as well that put me onto Jackson's.
I don't know if I should apologize. Oh, I had no idea. I honestly thought that I was like that everyone else knew about Jackson's. I don't know. I felt like when I was watching videos and stuff, after I created that video, I could see it everywhere, and I was like, oh, everyone just kept this shop a secret, and they do all these sales and all this stuff.
No, until 6 months ago when I first found your video, I didn't know that Jackson's existed.
No, it's how did I even find out about it? I can't even. It must have been Black Friday. Like, I know it was during Black Friday, but I can't remember how it actually came on my radar, if I'd seen like a haul or something about it. And normally because I'm, like I've said, quite impatient, I don't get stuff. Like, for example, I'm not the type who would wait to get something from Japan because I just want it like yesterday. I want everything. I feel everything with urgency. It's terrible. So normally I wouldn't get things from that kind of store, but they were doing like next day delivery as well. So I was like, oh, let me try it. And then obviously, like, I was so in love with it.
Even people from America order from Jackson's because it's so good.
Yeah.
The shipping is much cheaper from Jackson's than it is from the US for me.
And you get
crazy
it quicker as well, don't you?
I get it in 10 days. I would say 10 days.
Oh yeah, because you ordered some pencils, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were worried then that they weren't right. You know, they wasn't going to come.
Yeah, because there's a sign that says, "Don't ship. We won't ship the whole." They'll ship the whole line paints. They'll ship anything else whole line except the pencils.
That's so bizarre.
Why?
I think there's a trade. There's a trade agreement with them. The same way in Canada and the US, we can't ship. They won't ship Copics overseas.
What?
Right? So if you go to Blix and order Copics,
yeah,
they won't ship it to England.
Oh.
They can only ship it. So I was scared that I was going to get my whole line pencils, and I'm going, oh please ship. I got the tracking numbers, and I was like, yes.
Did you get them?
They're on their way.
They're on their way. There's
that's
I don't know if it's in Sweden right now, but it's in Sweden.
Has everyone seen the latest sale? The pencils, the pencil and drawings.
It's finished now.
So bad. I spent like £200 on pencils.
I can't say I'm surprised. Now you can see how I spent so much, no? Yeah, that was on the sale.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even without the sale, they're cheaper.
Really?
So the thing is, when I went on the Canada site for Jackson's, the only thing coming up was the 150 set. And I said, I already have pencils. I'm not going to order the 150 set. So then,
no, I ordered single pencils. I did.
Yeah, I went on the UK site using the Canadian dollar, and the funny thing is, before I signed in, it was, I think, $3.83 for each pencil, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I signed in, it was $3.22. So I went, okay, I'm gonna order, and then shipping was only $4.
Are you serious? That's cheaper than for me. I tried to buy some paper and it was £5. was like, why?
Right? It was $4. I was like, the thing is, if I go through the Canadian site, shipping would be $12.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
on the UK side, it was only $4. I said, I did my first shipment, and I said, okay, let me go and get the rest of the pencils. So that's what I did. So I had
So
two shipments down.
did you just get Holbein, or did you get any others?
The whole line. Actually, I got the majority because I only needed. I think I only needed 70 more pencils. I already have 80.
Oh, okay.
Because I bought some from over here, and I got 70 pencils and one Stabilo. What is it? The one where you can add, it's water soluble. You can write on glass with it. The all-in-one.
Wow. I
I've
haven't
not
seen
heard
that.
of that.
It's a brown. They come in black, brown, white, red, green. So I have all those colors except the brown. So the brown one's only $1.36. So I just threw it in there.
No.
But yeah, all Holbein. So I have 2 Jacksons, 1 Blick, and one because Jackson's didn't have the gold Holbein. So I ordered those from Blick. Come with my other orders. I have some Copics coming.
You're gonna have an
Replacement
amazing collection.
Huh?
You're gonna have an amazing collection.
No, I had all the Copics, right? But some dried out. So I had to reorder.
Yeah, I know you love your markers.
I love them.
I didn't realise the Copics eventually dried out. You've got me worried now.
No, they dry out because, and I spoke to Copic, the company.
Mm.
I said you either need to fill all the other colors in Chow because it's mostly the sketch markers.
Oh, thank God. I've got all Chow markers.
Right, the sketch markers because the caps crack. Right?
Oh,
the Chow markers are fine, but the sketch markers, the caps crack. And when they crack, it makes the marker dry out.
And what did they say?
So yeah, and you have to throw away the whole thing because they don't have replacement caps.
Mm.
So I told them either sell replacement caps or make all the chows in the sketch colors that are not there. And
yeah, because there's like 150 in the Chow and then like 350 in the sketch
colors. 358, yeah. So I thought they asked to follow me on Instagram. And then I thought they were gonna message me. I'm like, why are you following me then? I don't have any pictures up on my Instagram. Not on the art side, right? So I thought maybe the next time I complain, they'll say, oh, do you want me to replace them? Because I replaced 15 already.
It's in their best interest to sort that out. No, I'm just adding extra details every so often. So nowhere in particular. I'm just trying to look at it and see, does everything look roughly like rock shape? Does that make sense? And this side of the painting this side is quite warm and has like more browns. This side has more grays, but at the moment they're the same. So I'm just adding more grays towards this side. And the grays, again, I'm making it with that brown mixture that we have mixed so often and adding a bit of white to it as well.
I'm looking forward.
That's really come together now.
Thank you.
See where the fog is coming in or the sunlight in the picture on the left?
Oh, here.
Sunlight. I'm looking forward to that part.
I thought it was the glare from my screen.
No.
So I was there like, oh, it'll be yeah, I was like bending like this way and thinking like, oh damn, this studio light, it won't let me see.
No, it's on the actual photo.
Yeah, I thought you guys are so good. You actually realize I was literally thinking like, That's why you may have noticed I kept going like this. It was to try and see past it. Yeah.
Maybe it's like water mist coming off the water.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll tackle it when we get there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not quite sure how I will do that. But challenge accepted. I'm going to mix the permanent green with the burnt umber. You can see the colors that I use all the time now. The burnt umber has disappeared. The Prussian blue has disappeared. The yellow has disappeared. The whites have disappeared.
It's funny, the permanent green, when you put it look green, but when you go to Daniel Smith permanent green, it looks yellow. It's like a yellowish green.
Yeah, no. This one is like a bright green. I want to get more Daniel Smith though. My collections. Do you guys want spoilers? I'm really like, you know how you get. I'm really. You know, you have like people who want to tell you straight away. As in, like, I'm really bad for spoilers, and YouTube has been really hard in terms of like not saying what I'm doing all the time. So in terms of like, quite often when I finish a video, I just publish it straight away because I can't wait. Because I love spoilers. But I am now one video. No, I've recorded a video. And now obviously I feel like I could tell you guys, but then at the same time I feel like, wouldn't it just be nice to like see a video pop up and see what it is? But how do you feel about spoilers is my question. Would you prefer a surprise or I'm like,
yeah, I love spoilers.
What about you, Lorna?
Yeah, up for a spoiler.
Okay, because I I have so many spoilers. Tell me where to stop. The first one is that I am doing a video with all my watercolors just to talk through, just to like sit down and be like, these are all the watercolors that I have, and let the judgment ensue from that. And that was a lot of fun to like record and play around with. But then I've also, with the accordion sketchbook, I've done more painting in it. Where did I put it? It was right here before, wasn't it? I had it in the hand. I've done more paintings in it. Do you want to see?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
So this is the sketchbook. Let me open it the right way around. So this is the bit that's on the video now.
Wow.
So,
And then there's more.
Yeah.
that is awesome.
And this is all gouache. Oh,
Yeah. It's all gouache.
I
So
love
that's the end
that.
of it. So it just continues like that. Ooh. Well, I'm so excited about it. I am editing the video now, so it'll come out in a few days. Obviously, like, this took hours, so the video is shorter. The video more focuses on like Kew Garden, so basically showing you where I drew inspiration for the pieces. But yeah, I'm like, oh, I've finished it, and finished it. I've done most of it, as in finished those pieces, but not the book itself. And I'm like, oh, and I can't share it with anyone. I have to keep a secret until I finish editing this video. So now I feel better. Thank you for letting me spoil it.
Jeez.
It's been
That's watercolor or gouache?
No, it's all gouache, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to. So I've done half of it, as in like I've done all of that in gouache, and that is half of the front of the accordion. So now I'm wondering, and that will be the video. Like because I can't wait to finish the sketchbook and then release it. I'm just too excited. But then the next part.
Hayley gouache or the Winsor & Newton?
No,
gouache?
Winsor & Newton. It's all been I've like created a path of least resistance in that I keep this here I change the water so that there's fresh water on the desk all the time. I have the palette paper here. So literally all I have to do is sit down and start painting rather than start looking for everything. I think that's also helped with painting. I mean, still, I end up on the couch. I'm thinking of creating like an art station by the couch so that when I'm sat there, I can also paint. But it hasn't been the most ergonomic
that's a good
setup.
idea.
My Hemi's calling me.
Your who's calling?
My Hemi's calling me.
Yeah. My sister's literally said the same thing as you when it comes to like the step by step, because she was saying how, you know, she watched my videos and me painting with gouache and she felt inspired to, you know, paint with gouache. She bought the gouache and since then I haven't like made that many videos. So I was like, okay, I should. But it's odd on YouTube because obviously it's hard to know what people want to see. And the only metric that I have really is people's comments, but also like the views.
Yeah.
And the views on the videos where I'm painting are a lot lower, like a lot lower than all others. So then that gives me the impression that people don't want to see me paint. And it's okay, like my painting style won't be for everyone. So that's what I'm trying to balance basically. Because in the comments, I think quite a few people ask for me to paint, but then when I paint, most people don't tend to like watching them. So it's just trying to figure out how to best put that out there basically. But for
The thing
me,
is, what I like about gouache,
mm,
like acrylics and like oils,
mm,
things come out looking more realistic
mm,
than
yeah,
they do with watercolor.
it certainly can. I just like that it's forgivable. Although for me, I do find mine look cartoonesque.
Paint realistic paper. It doesn't come out cartoonish.
Mm,
And maybe yours may come out cartoonish, but I've seen a lot that come out. I go, that's gouache.
yeah. No, it's definitely very versatile. But and I think it would be harder to get a similar or same effect with watercolor. That being said, I've seen like a few things that I want to try out with watercolor, like experimenting wise. So
There's
we'll
people
see.
that, oh, you can paint so. Like I can go from one extreme to another. I go from, like, for watercolor, I go from, I don't know if you heard of Arlene King.
Yeah.
Arlene.
Yeah.
I go from her to the extreme, which is Sandy Heston.
Really? And in terms of style?
Yeah, in terms of like, I mean, just looking at the style, I go, I like Arlene's, but I like Sandy's. Well,
yeah.
Even though he looks like, just close your eyes and start painting. It doesn't matter where your paintbrush lands.
Yeah.
Type of thing, right? She calls it loose. I call it you're just thinking blind.
Yeah, no, she's very abstract. She just released a video actually. I'm just in this corner here, I've added some of this orangey yellow to the green that we had just to try and make it a bit more olivey. And then I'm going to add white and try and see if I can replicate this kind of misty area. But she just released a video with her watercolor paintings in there. I don't know if I don't know when she actually released it. It must have been like within the days or last week.
Who are you talking about? Sorry.
Sandy Hester.
Oh, I watch her as
well.
Yeah.
She just released a video and in it she had her watercolor paintings. I quite liked them. Like they were very different to what she's doing now. Like they weren't as abstract, I would say, as they are now. Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it tight. They were different, but certainly not quite as abstract as now.
Are far more different.
Yeah.
Let's just say they're recognizable.
Yeah.
Than what she paints now.
I was so surprised that the style was completely different. And she started off by saying, like, oh, you know, her family prefer the old work and her partner prefers the old work. So we may prefer the old work. And I was like, oh, I'm curious to see what it would be like. And I thought it would be something relatively similar, but it's completely different. And
Totally different, yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, I do prefer it more.
It
But
went from I'm not gonna I'm gonna draw so people could recognize to just close my eyes.
right.
There's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people critique her and going. It's like, don't critique her.
No.
You draw your style. Let her draw in hers.
Yeah.
Because you know,
I don't think you can. I think when it's that abstract, you literally like, how can you? When it's so abstract and it's so different, I think. And to be honest, in general, this is why I was saying that in one of like my earlier videos that the reason that I don't do like reviews or like reviewing my other people's art and stuff is just I feel like it's so subjective. I honestly don't even feel like I have or anyone really has a right to be like, oh, it's different if someone says like, okay, how do I mix that brown? You know, like a technical thing that I think you can comment on. But sometimes I just find it a bit too hard to be like, oh, well, this should be here and that should be there. Because if I were to critique Picasso's work, like right now, like I would be like, what were you drunk? Were you high? The person's face is complete. Like I don't understand cubism. I've never really been one to like it.
Like nothing. Oh, this is they one person actually said, oh, my 3-year-old could paint better than this.
That's so mean.
I'm going. You know, this is why people don't show their stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Just unnecessary negative comments.
Exactly.
That add nothing. And
so,
ill placed.
I said, I like her spirit.
Yeah.
Right. Her style might not be my style, but I like her spirit of when she says, don't be precious.
Yeah.
With your art supplies, just use them.
Yeah.
Mix them.
I think that's another thing because I didn't know about her until, like, I think quite a few people suggested, like, oh, that I may like her videos. To be perfectly like, I did that video where I was talking about my favorite YouTubers, and then following that, quite a few people told me, oh, you should watch her as well. You'll really like her, and they were right. I did. And then they also suggested like Lindsay from the Frugal Crafter, and I like her channel as well. So. But yeah, her style is definitely like very loose and very different. I watch her videos for like the freedom of it, not necessarily to like replicate her art or anything like that. But I think it's hard to critique. I don't know how.
And the same thing with like Natasha. Like it's funny. I follow Natasha and I follow Iona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Aliona.
Oh yeah, yes.
And also I'm not subscribed to her in Irit.
Yeah, I haven't. I've watched a few, but I've watched a few of her videos.
Yeah,
she's been recommended.
You mean?
Yeah. Now, I mean, I can watch the 3 of them, right? I can get on board with Natasha because she's mostly talking about her art supplies and her last video. I can relate. I'm a very introvert and I don't trust everybody. Right?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Whereas with Irit, it's like she puts down. I don't know. Are you in the cancel culture? Because she puts down. For instance, she puts down Daniel Smith. Now, Daniel Smith, that controversy was 2 years ago. It's so done, right? Don't keep bringing it up. Because
someone brought it up the other day as well, another artist.
And I said, don't bring it up because it sounds like you want people to cancel the company.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is not.
Let people make their own decisions. You don't make the decisions for them, right? She was doing something on Neocolor, right? And I guess in the set she got some browns and she's like black, brown, black. So what? Other people might like brown. Don't criticize the color.
Leave the color alone.
Speaking of Neo colours, has anyone got Neo Colour 2?
Yes.
I have
I want some.
I have a small set.
I keep seeing them. They look fun.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, I have a. Oops, sorry.
It just was like my story.
No, I do. I think
When I went and bought the 84, not knowing I already had the 40.
Honestly, I said that for me, if that were to happen, it would be like a conscious decision that I'd be like, oh, well, I need both because I need one for the car or one for holidays and one for my desk and one for so no judgment here.
No, but I had the 10.
Yeah.
I have the 15.
I have the 15.
I went up the 40 and put it away and not knowing that I already used the 40. I went and bought the 84.
No.
Then I was looking through my drawers and I was like, where did this come from?
No, it can happen. It can certainly happen. That's why I say now I have my sketchbooks out so that I can see them. I've done that inventory video, which was actually the purpose of it, to see all the watercolors that I have, so that I don't buy more. So I calm down on buying. But we'll see. I'm going to no, go ahead.
Sorry, is that video out yet? Your invention?
No, not yet. I'm editing it now now. I'm editing it so that it's due to come out maybe in a couple of weeks, in terms of I have the cue guard. So what I would like to do is cut back down to one video a week, but I always get excited, release the video, and then it's like, oh, I release it too soon. So I have the Kew Garden video, which I may release mid next week, only because of the giveaway, so that people actually have an opportunity to join, because otherwise it will be released after.
I need to go back and join that, actually.
Yeah, they were I asked them, I wasn't sure if they'd say yes, and they were like, yeah, cool. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Ask and you'll receive, innit? So after I do the Kew Garden video, I have another video that's not reviewing, but more like unboxing a couple of sets that I have, and then following that it will be the inventory video. So that will be, call it 2 weeks from now.
Are these all on YouTube or are these Ko-fi?
They'll be on YouTube. The Ko-fi ones that I have coming up are, I have one where I basically look through my gouache paintings and in closer detail and talk about, oh, by the way, what I'm doing now, because it may not necessarily make sense, is I've got the paint, I'm mixing different colors, and I'm literally just dabbing. There's next to no water, and I'm literally just dabbing it, almost like dry brush, but not, instead of dragging it across to create a waterfall, I'm dabbing it up and down to create foliage so that it's less perfect. The Ko-fi ones is, I have a video where I look through my gouache paintings and talk about the techniques that I use in painting the water, just as a complementary bit to the last video that I made. And then, I don't know, I had one, I wasn't sure if I was going to post it, where it was basically like painting waves. It's a very short video. But I'll see if I'll post that, or I'll see if I can edit it in a way that I think is actually helpful. And then for next month, I haven't planned. In theory, although I'm doing an extra video, I think because it's still tied into the art challenge from this month, it's this month's video, even if it comes out in October, if that makes sense. So for October, I haven't made a video yet, but I'm open to suggestions as always. if there's anything in particular that you guys would want, or if you would prefer to have a live session instead of a video, or yeah, anything. Pardon? Sorry, I keep missing it because I keep coughing and my ears are blocked.
Oh, no, but you need to start using your pastels so that
Yeah. So that you can get through your set.
So I can start using mine.
No, definitely. And what else? Art challenge wise for next month, I'm in two minds as to what to do.
What pastels have you got?
The new color twos.
Oh yeah.
I have a set of 15. Which I've only used like a little bit. I haven't made any videos about it yet. I've only used it like on holiday when in Malta. And have I used it any other time? No, not really.
Would you recommend them?
Yeah, they are a lot of fun. They're not like they're like quite different to, they're not like, they don't behave like watercolors, if that makes sense. Like they're water soluble, but it's not, I haven't found that I get the same techniques that I would with just laying down watercolor and layering. Like it's different, but they are a lot of fun. I would recommend them.
If you use the palette and scribble on the palette,
Yeah.
they're bubbling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that Caran d'Ache palette with the rough side on it.
Yeah. Then you can use them as watercolors.
Oh, to actually like, yeah, and I've seen some people like sharpen it. You know, and you don't throw away the sharpen. You don't throw away, if you sharpen it or you get shavings, you don't throw them away because that is still water soluble. So again, you can mix it into water.
And what, it will just dissolve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It will be like you're using watercolor. So again, basically don't throw away any shavings.
I've seen a lot of people use pencil over the top of them.
Yeah.
I bought the Neo Color ones to use on top of them.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people lately using markers as a base and then doing pencils over the top, coloured pencils.
Yeah. Temi Danso does that.
And there's a lot of people that do it because the thing is, if they want to do a realistic
background
portrait, they use the markers because it covers the white of the paper.
Yeah.
And then the colored pencils, they're going with the colored pencils.
I truly admire that art form. I just know I will never have the patience to do photorealism, and that's okay.
No, I can't do hyperrealism either.
See that color on your palette right now? Looks like an avocado.
Oh, it does?
Which one? Oh, was this?
Yeah.
You have a very good imagination. You're the one who saw the fire last time as well.
Yeah.
I lose like situational awareness of those things. I think
I'm the type of person that'll go into a bathroom that has tiles
Mm.
and I'll look for the pictures in the tiles. Or a picture in the clouds.
Very visual. No, I'm not quite like that. I remember when I was doing the challenge with Maggie from Creating Cute Art, I was saying that one of the tough things is that I feel like I don't have much imagination. Like I feel like I'm creative, but I'm not like that imaginative. So if you hadn't said that, I could look at this palette from today to tomorrow. I would never see an avocado. But once you say it, I can see it. Does that make sense? Well, that's the thing. We're all.
But I have that thing where if you tell me to close my eyes and to see the color,
Yeah.
colorette, I can't do that.
Can you see the thing?
I'll just see black.
Can you see anything?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine colors.
But if I said imagine a table, can you see the table?
Yeah. No.
Oh, so you have aphantasia. You can't see, yeah. And yet, yeah. Temi Dancer has that as well. Yeah, I think it's like aphantasia.
Aphantasia or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm going. He says, close your eyes. Like that's why when they do the guided meditation,
Yeah.
you should picture yourself on a beach.
You see black. You're like, what beach?
I'm sorry. I can't. I'll just fall asleep now.
Do you have dreams?
I do, but it comes from and the thing is, my dreams are quite lucid. It's almost like I leave my body and I go into a different dimension because I'm clearly talking to people.
I mean, do you know you're dreaming when you're dreaming?
Half the time, no, because there's one time where I was fighting in my dream and fell out of my bed.
Oh.
Right? So that's why I said
you didn't hurt yourself.
It's like, the dog started barking, so he
woke you.
the people to like my nephew and my dad to say something's happening in her room.
Oh.
So said, are you okay? I'm fine. Just fell out of my bed, but I was literally fighting in my dream.
Oh my.
So it was like I had an out of body.
Yeah.
Right, and I was in some other dimension or whatever, and I was like, I'd be going like, who are these people? And I would all of a sudden it's like I'm running, and I would wake up, and it's like, oh, I'm in my bed. I'm in my bed.
You're okay. No, I don't. Can I imagine? I feel like I don't have it I don't have it. If I close my eyes and you tell me to imagine a table, I can imagine a table. It's just not clear. But I don't know if that's normal or if in some people it's like I wouldn't be able to. I would be able. Can you draw from imagination? Like, could you draw a table without a reference?
I can. I can draw.
Yeah.
I can draw a face from imagination. Right, without looking.
Yeah.
And it comes out looking like a face.
Yeah.
Right. But
that's interesting.
I've got this weird thing where I don't recognize people's faces sometimes.
Sometimes or all the time?
I recognize my family's faces, but that's it.
That's super rare.
Oh.
No, I'm intrigued. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm very intrigued.
Like, I've had the same postman for 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't recognise him when I open the door to him. I don't recognise him.
What do you see? This is fascinating.
Sorry?
As in, like, what do you? So you see a face, but you can't place
I
it.
can see him. He looks like a person. Like.
Yeah.
Like you'd look at someone and see a person, but I just don't recognise him. It's just like a stranger has knocked the door.
But you recognise his voice, and that's how you know it's the same guy from 5 years.
Well, I know it's the same man because he's got the postman uniform on.
okay.
Oh wow, that's super, super rare. Quite interesting. I'm intrigued from a medical point of view. But
that's like somebody coming up to me. If I haven't seen you in the last 5 years, they'll walk up to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
No, but this is even.
No, names. If somebody comes and says, don't you remember so and so?" I'll be like, "No."
No, I can't do names either. But with this, I've forgotten what it's called. Do you know what it's called?
No.
Joanna?
He recognizes the uniform.
I'll find it. It's a condition.
Like coming it's like okay, I just recognize your uniform. Because I look at people, right?
Yeah.
But then after a while, their face just becomes like empty. I can remember what you were wearing.
Yeah.
But I don't know what your face looks like.
No, I'll find it.
and
It may
also
not.
his
It may not
voice,
be, but
I recognise his
yeah,
voice
it will be his
because
voice.
He hears me coming. He hears me coming to the front door, and he'll
Yeah.
go, "It's only the post." So I know it's him.
Yeah. I need to. I mean, if you're interested, I'll find it. It's a rare condition, but I've forgotten the name. But you
I didn't
recognize your
realise it was
family, which
actually
is
a medical condition.
ah.
I didn't realise it was actually a medical condition.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. It's the way that you're made. It has a medical term, is what I mean. But it's the way that you made. You can't change it or anything like that.
So is it almost similar to how most men are colorblind?
It's neurological. I can't remember the name. I'll have to find it, and that can be something else if you're curious. As in, I think this is what it is. It's like a condition where you can't. You see that, yeah, you can't recognize faces. But what's interesting is that usually, no face, like they don't recognize any face, whereas you recognize your family's faces.
Yeah.
So that's slightly different. But that's probably from exposure. How did you realize that other people can, and you like? How did you realize something was different?
Because I kept arranging to meet my friends like at school and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd arranged to meet them, and I could never find them.
Oh.
And they kept saying, "Why were you walking straight past us at lunch? Why did you look straight at us and carry on?" And I said, "You weren't there. I didn't see you." And they said, "You looked straight at us and carried on." And it kept happening. And in the end, that's when I realised something was wrong.
Yeah. No, it does. It is a medical condition. I will find it. I mean, if you're interested, do you want me to find the name?
Yeah. If you don't mind, if I don't want you to like spend hours looking for it.
No, I will. It will come to me. I'm sure. Like as soon as we end the Kofi call, it will come to me, and I'll be like, "Oh, damn it!" But yeah, quite often you recognize people by with the condition. People tend to recognize people by their basically everything apart from their face. So you'll recognize their voice, you may recognize their smell, but not what they look like. I don't know about hands, like other features though. Do you recognize other, like in terms of like hands and like build? Is it just the face, or is the whole?
No, it's like I've never really looked at any of the. It's hard to say. When I'm thinking of the postman now, I can't tell you if it's thin or fat.
Okay, so it's everything. No, it's very it's very interesting.
I am autistic, and I have got a benign brain tumor, so I don't know if either of those could be affecting it.
I don't think so, but I'll look into it. But I should give the disclaimer: this is by no means medical advice, yada yada yada. But no, it is a medical condition. There's nothing. It's
more annoying than anything, to be honest. Because, like, for instance, I went to Boots, which, for those of you in America, is a pharmacy chain in the UK.
You have Boots?
Oh, okay.
You have Boots here.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I thought it was only UK.
America owns Boots now, I think.
Who owns it?
Yeah, I think Americans
own
Boots.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Canada. I don't know about Boots in. There's no Boots in US, but they are in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But the pharmacist said next time you come in, find me and we'll discuss this medication that you're on. Anyway, I went in next time and I just walked straight past him, and he was like, "You're supposed to discuss this with me." And I was really mortified because I just walked straight past him like nothing was going on.
No, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. And hopefully by knowing, like, putting a name to it, you can then know like it's an actual thing, and obviously up to you if you want to let people know about it or not, but then they'll have a bit more understanding in terms of like you can't control it, you can't fix it, it's just the way that you are.
Yeah.
Is it prosopagnosia? Face blindness.
Face blindness, yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, face
Yeah.
blindness.
Yes.
I don't know about the other word you said.
There's prosopagnosia.
It's basically saying not being able to see the face in Latin.
Struggle to recognize faces and can't interpret facial expressions and cues.
Yeah, no, that would be
It's a
it.
neurological disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do have a lot of rare things wrong with me, so it wouldn't surprise me if I had that.
Yeah, this comes from NHS.
NHS.net. Yeah, I can confirm, Joanna, you're the only person I know who has this. You're a medical marvel. I say that as a compliment.
No, I've had that said to me before, don't worry.
Yeah, hold on. They say it's not specific to autism, but it appears common in the autistic population.
So it is related there.
Not caused by it, but common. Sorry, I started like painting and not talking through what I'm doing, but I'm hoping that it's somewhat making sense. I'm just adding finishing touches in terms of using dry brush technique to pick up some colors. Like I added a little bit of a bluey gray here, and I'm just literally using dry brush. Where's our paper? Can you see? To do strokes like that. Thank you.
Really pretty.
Thank you. To do strokes like that across the rocks because they're a bit rougher, to like add shadows and add highlights. And then I'm going to do the same to the water.
Is that the dry brushing? Is that the dry brushing on the rock?
Yeah, just here on the brushes, on the rocks here, and a bit on the rocks there. Just because rocks shouldn't be completely uniform. Yeah.
You know when you did the tree on the left, was that with a dry brush as well?
Yeah, but instead of like dragging, I was doing dabbing.
Yeah.
Like that. Although
I think I told you already, you have it impressionistic.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. People have said that I have that style and I should be painting with oils. I was like, the idea of like I haven't got it in me to wait days for my layers to dry to then come back and paint again.
I'm not interested in oils because A, they take ages to dry, and B, they're really toxic and all the toxic chemicals you have to use.
Yeah. I feel like I might try it one day out of like curiosity, but as for like my go-to, probably not. But I think it leans better to gouache because someone was saying that I was painting like an impressionist but with watercolors, and that's odd. And I was like, I only know how to paint how I know how to paint. Does that make sense? But I guess I'm just doing some more dry brush strokes. I really enjoy our sessions, can I say? It's even nicer, like this is even nicer to me than on live because I can hear you. And we can actually talk. Otherwise, like live streams, they're nice. And because I know that there are people there, but it's different to actually hear someone or like see someone or like, you know, chat basically.
I have to say, I'm sorry for interrupting when people are talking. Because of my autism, sometimes I can't tell when to talk. It's quite hard for me to tell.
Joanna, you can talk freely. No one will judge you. Feel free to interrupt me at any point. I will not take offense. Yeah, so so don't worry about stressing about that. Just talk when you want.
Yeah, I'm used to it at work.
And for me, I don't tend to take offense. Like I don't get easily offended, and I also don't pick up on. Yeah, no, I also don't pick up on like passive aggression or anything like that. In the only way to truly offend me would be to be like actively. There would be no confusion. Actively aggression, like, you know, be like, I hate you as a person. Then I would be like, this person may not like me.
No, I've never played that. I don't think anybody could hate you.
You'd be surprised, but that's what I mean. Apart from that, like, it's I think it served me well in the NHS though, because it I've had quite a lot of times people come and be like, oh, are you okay? I'm sure they didn't mean that. I'll be like, was that meant as an insult? Because I think they were just being straightforward. So yeah, we'll get along fine, basically. I want to do the waterfall, so I'm trying to pick up some white.
I forgot about that waterfall.
No, I've recently loved painting waterfalls. I'm just trying to figure out where I should put it. Like, should it be right where it is in the picture? And it might be actually before I do the waterfall, because I think where I put it, I want there to be like quite a bit of contrast. So I want the waterfall to be white and everything around it to kind of be really nice and dark. Whereas at the moment, there's like a lot of light area here, so it wouldn't necessarily stand out. So I'm going to go back and make it darker with our good old fashioned.
What about where the two white dots are to the right?
Here?
Keep going to the right.
Here.
There, yeah.
Yeah, I could put it there, but I want it to be. I want it to be bigger. So I feel like if I put it here and I make it white, and then there's this like light area here, it may not necessarily stand out very much. Like all this could look like a waterfall. Why are you sorry? It's fine. I'm always open to suggestions. And to be perfectly honest, it's not to say that there's a right or a wrong way of doing it. Because initially my plan was to leave it this color, but now I'm going to go and make everything a little bit darker with adding more blue to the brownie mixture that I keep making you mix, Lorna. Sorry. This is like the brownest painting I have ever done. And
considering how much brown you've been mixing, the painting itself isn't actually that brown.
Yeah. It's been a bit more brown. It's because, you know, like I said, I like to start from one thing and then just keep adding like to that same color. So I feel like, yeah, we've been mixing loads of brown. But then from that same brown, we've added white, and then we've got the grays from the brown. We've got the brownie greens. We've got, yeah. So I think it makes everything.
It's a good way to use up your colours as well.
Yeah. I think perhaps this this entire style stems from me trying to be cheap and save as much paint as possible. So it's like must use it all at all costs.
You just add colours on top of colours.
Yeah. Essentially. Adding, so I added a bit of white to that brownie mixture to make it a little bit more grey, and adding some more to again make it grayer. And adding it like quite roughly in random places, trying to not be too straight, to not be too precise. I don't want there to be anything on there that is like a pattern, or that is completely I don't know how to explain it, there's a pattern or is a block or is too symmetrical, because then that will command attention because it will look somewhat out of place.
Yeah.
At least that's what I
That's
think.
why they always say to have 3 or 5 or 1 of something on a photo,
Yeah.
on a painting, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Have I got rid of enough white? I'm thinking of putting the waterfall like here. So we'll get rid of this bit as well. And then make that slightly lighter. Oh, my other paintings. These are some of the pictures that will be in the Kew Gardens pack coming. Another spoiler.
Oh, sneak peek.
Yeah. Accidental sneak peek. Yeah, I was putting it together yesterday, but if you guys have any ideas for other like rewards, then by all means, please let me know. Like in terms of what you
I
feel
didn't
would be
catch
beneficial.
that, sorry. But as a what?
For just like rewards or things that you would like to see on Ko-fi, then
Oh, okay.
please let me know. Because like say with the reference packs, I don't know if they are helpful. As in they're helpful for me, but I don't know if they're helpful for you. And if they're not helpful for you, then of course I'll stop doing them.
What are the reference packs? I haven't seen those.
So it's just pictures that I have from Venice. So it's basically when I go anywhere where I go somewhere that I think is nice and I see something that I think will make a nice painting or a nice drawing, I take a picture of it and then I collate it. So I did that for Venice, and for Malta. And then for the 10-hour challenge, there were landscapes that I found from royalty-free websites as opposed to the ones that I've taken. And then from Kew Gardens, there will be pictures that I have taken. So it's basically pictures that I've taken that I think will make good paintings or good paintings or good drawings. But then I don't know if that's necessarily something that you guys would want.
Yes, please.
Definitely. I collect photos on my phone like that, just for watercolor and things.
Okay, cool. In which case I'll keep doing them. But yeah, because I have quite a few, and I was like, because I use them, so I then go back on it and like say I want to paint, and I'm like, oh, I feel like painting Venice, rather than, because I take a lot of pictures, so rather than going through all 500 of my pictures from Venice, I'll just go through that, or Malta or Kew Gardens.
Do I find them on Ko-fi or Discord?
They're on Ko-fi, so they're all on in the shop section of Ko-fi, but they are free for members. It's just the shop is the only place I can put things up. I've also started putting the videos up on there. So if you go in the shop and then you click on exclusive videos as the filter, it will then filter everything else out, and then you'll be able to see the videos that I release. I think I'll still, when I put them out, I'll still put them on Ko-fi and on Discord. But I think that's at least means that in a month's time, you can go back and you can find the video easily, as opposed to trying to figure out which chat I put it in and what happened.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And so you can filter for art challenges, you can filter for reference photos, and you can filter for videos.
I'm going to have to do it that way, I think, because that's going to be easier than trying to scroll like months back and things.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I want to do some dry brush. So I'm just doing like practice. This is with white-esque. I'm gonna add teeny bit.
That's a very dark white.
Yeah, it's like a teeny bit of blue to it. Let's see. Do I even have any white left? Struggling to get some. Okay, normally I would have changed water like 40 minutes ago, but But I cannot.
You don't mind if you need to change your water. That's okay.
I will in a bit, but that's why I'm using this. So normally I also like to spritz this to keep my gouache palette wet.
Yeah, it dries quick.
Yeah. And you can do it on this palette as well as the paint itself. But the reason that
Do you do that?
Hmm?
Do you do that during a long paint session?
Yeah, because I leave my palette open, so it will dry out quite quickly.
Well, I didn't realise it dried that quick.
You can still reactivate it. It's still it'll still be fine. I've let my gouache dry out completely in this set and then re-wetted it, and it was completely fine. And then sometimes, because I've used it so often, we re-wet it so many times, sometimes I also add some gum arabic so it doesn't just become watered down paint.
Yeah.
So I've got some of that white, hopefully white-esque. It's white-esque because I'm using dirty water, and I'm just doing a dry brush technique, wiping off the excess paint and water to do quick motions in the direction I think the water will be going in. Then here is a little bit rougher, but not necessarily like thing. And now I have to do it again, but I'm just using the back of this to wipe off the excess, and also sometimes like just as a way to practice and to know that I have the right amount. And this is not white, so I will have to change my water, and I will have to
Honestly, if you need to go and change your water, it's
yeah.
fine.
Thank you. I think I will, because it's
Because if we don't need to wreck your painting.
oh no, don't worry. It's I bought this.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to the washroom while
Cool.
you change your water.
While I change, we'll take a break. This is permanent white. So I'm filling that up, but also, and then put a little bit there, and then fill this one up as well. So the Winsor & Newton set has 2 whites, and they come in 37mm tubes. So they're the ones that I like to get in super big size because I like run out of white so quickly. I'll be right back, okay? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I'm back.
Hello.
Hello. I'm wearing a summer dress even though it's cold because I don't get to wear it in summer. Sorry.
Oh,
So
are you not cold?
yeah, no, I am. I also have a blanket. So I have a blanket and a jumper on, but the reason that I'm wearing this like summer-esque frilly dress is because I was like, oh, I haven't worn it and it's nice. I should dress up to stay at home.
And they're going down the fair, I think. I just said, well, after it gets past 9 o'clock, to text me every half hour. Just
now, ow.
Oh, it's getting cold there now?
Oh, it's so cold. I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason I got a cold. And I'm like, I'm
cold here.
Yeah, I like being warm, you know, like I'm the type of person who always has the heating on.
Yeah.
But now that they've ramped up the prices, and I'm like, you know,
Can I ask?
yeah,
I know you live in the UK as well. Do you live in a flat or a house?
in a flat.
Yeah, I live in a flat. How much do you pay? Do you mind me asking?
No, it's fine. So I just moved here, so I haven't paid as of yet, which is worrying. They quoted me £172 for 2 months, which is over the summer, which is too much because I live on my own in a 1-bed flat.
I pay £120 a month. And mine's a 1-bed flat.
Oh, so maybe because they said £172, and I was like, £172 what? So I hope it's not a month. I thought it was since I started, but they told me that's what I need to pay thus far, as in since I moved in. Yeah, £120 a month for just electricity.
Yeah, and like I'm mostly bedbound, so I only use the shower once a week. I don't use the oven. Like the washing machine's only on once a week, so there's not really much electric being used.
Have you spoken to them about it? Are you sure that they haven't got you on the wrong tariff? Because like the high prices is more recent. Is this the price that you've just been paying all this time?
No, I used to pay £55.
Yeah, no, it's too high.
But since the electric went up, my bill went up as well.
Yeah, no, mine went up as well. They said £172, but then when I called them to say that it was too much, they said I should disregard that. It's just an estimate, and they will let me know.
Okay.
So I think British Gas.
Oh, I'm with SSE.
And the other thing is that they in October they're giving everyone £400.
Yeah.
So that should at least knock it off. At least that's what they told me, that they will take £400. They will credit my account 400. I don't understand. Credit it £400. So at least that will help.
They're splitting it over a few months, so they're crediting it like £60 a month for so many months.
Okay. At this point, I'll take anything I can get because everything is so expensive. I was like, what is this? And before I was living like as part of where I was living, it was all bills included. So I was a bit freer, you know. I was like, oh, okay, it was a bit more predictable. Like, this is what I need to pay and that's it. And now I'm like, oh.
Yeah. When I first moved to live on my own in a flat, it was a bit of a shock how much stuff everything cost. It's
too much. Like even council tax, I thought council tax would be like 100 and something, and also I'm living on my own, so I thought, you know, you get 25% off, and then my council tax came through and it's £200 a month.
Why is that? Why are you paying that much for a flat?
I genuinely don't know. And what makes it worse is that they've written, like, you know, and this includes, it was something like 240 without the 25% off or whatever, like over 200 without the 25% off, and we've included the 25% off, and it's now £200 and 29 pence a month. I was like, what is this? How do people afford to live outside?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is it because you're in London?
Yeah, it
How
must
do
be.
you understand this? All these taxes.
It's so unreal. But
How's your healthcare? Is yours like ours?
no,
No.
free.
Because we pay taxes to cover the healthcare of other people.
Then yes, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we don't. I mean, other than that, I know we pay property tax. We have a high goods and services tax. We call it harmonized tax because it blends the provincial and federal tax together.
We don't have like federal tax. We have
Other than that, we don't pay taxes. What is council tax?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, which I wish someone could answer for me clearly. But it's essentially like all of England is divided obviously in towns, but then also like different councils look after certain areas. So it's almost like different councils will look after an area, or part of the government body will look after that area. And as part of the council tax, it basically means like, I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, that they will collect your bins, that they will.
Yeah.
To be honest, apart from the bins, I'm not really sure what else it covers, because roads, we pay road tax, so it doesn't cover the roads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lampposts.
We have that. We don't pay. Oh wow! It comes in as a bill. If it comes in as a bill, I'm going. I don't know if it's tax or not.
No, it's a bill. It is a bill for us as well.
Do you have national insurance in America?
Yeah.
I don't know about the Americans.
No, she's in Canada.
In Canada. Sorry.
Do we have national insurance?
Yeah.
Is it private or public?
It's public. It's like an additional tax. Does it cover the army? Is that what it covers?
Oh no.
I'm not sure. As in, what does NI cover? I'm not quite sure. I think it covers like
NHS.
But then what does income tax cover? I thought that was income tax.
I thought tax covered the NHS.
Yeah, I thought NI was more like. I thought it was like to be honest, I thought it was like the army. I don't know where, but I don't know where that came from. As in, like, I thought it was national security and things. But I'm not sure. But NI is like another, I think, 19% of your wage. Income tax is, 20 to 40%.
Yeah, because we get our income tax, right? Our income tax, it covers. The federal income tax covers medical. Who knows what else it covers? We pay the taxes for the road come out of the property tax.
No, we have a separate tax for that. If you drive, you pay road tax.
If we drive, there is no taxes. They basically every year we used to have to pay for a sticker to put onto our car.
Yeah, we have to do that.
But since then, our government, our provincial government has stopped that. So we just have to register our car for free every year. And that's it.
We have to do MOTs on our car. I haven't got a car, but I just know. We have to do like MOT and get insurance and things for the car. We have to pay it every month.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you pay.
Car insurance, yes, but for our car tax, no, we don't have to pay taxes to drive or anything. So.
No. Oh, such is life, honestly.
How do you expect to live if you're paying? But you know what? It brings me back to the conversation I had with my mom when I said, you know what? We work and we work, that money is not ours because we're ending up spending it and giving it to other people.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's literally. So economics, just pass it from one person to the other.
Yeah, a lot of mine's got passed to Etsy this week.
Exactly.
Oh, Etsy shut down. You know, Etsy shut down my shop again. I'm like,
Why?
yeah, no, they do that all the time. I don't know why. They just, I just tried to log on and it said it's been suspended, but I don't get an email explanation why or anything like that. And the first time it happened, I got in touch with them and they reactivated it. And then it's happened again. And it's just got to the point where, there were quite a few videos going around explaining why it's important to have like your own mailing list and basically talking about how technically none of these platforms are truly your own. Like if YouTube decided tomorrow that actually they don't like my videos, they could shut it down and that'd be it. You'd never hear from me again and I'd have no choice. Same with like Etsy, I can't really control it and I can't even control if you see my videos on YouTube. It's, down to the algorithm and how it's feeling that day. But then it was talking about like, with emails, at least you have the opportunity of telling people like this is what I have done, and then it's up to them to decide whether they want to see it or not. But yeah, I don't know why. And I think that's the other reason that I moved to Ko-fi, because I logged on, it said it's been suspended. I was too tired to fight it. So at the moment I don't have an Etsy shop.
What were you selling? I didn't know you had an Etsy shop.
It was just I was selling cards and I was selling cards. Was I selling anything else? No, it was just like birthday cards, Mother's Day cards.
I would have bought some cards if I'd known you had a shop.
Well, not Etsy said no. And I mean, I still have some cards. I can send you a card. You don't have to buy one. But they
Oh, you're so sweet.
they said no, so it's closed, and I'm not going to reopen it. I don't think it's necessarily worth the struggle of having them close it again.
People complaining about Etsy because I don't know if it's the same thing like Patreon. Because I even told my friend, why don't you leave Patreon and go to Ko-fi?
Yeah, Ko-fi is better. Right? But people don't know what Ko-fi is.
Because Ko-fi, for instance, you only have a selected people following you on Patreon, and you still have to pay. Patreon still takes so much. So if you have all these tiers, they take 3%. Is it 3%?
Oh no, they take more. I think they take 5 to 12%.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So,
well, you say that YouTube takes 55. YouTube takes 30% of like any like, yeah, as in like if it's like a super thanks, super chat, memberships, 30%. If it's advertisers in terms of like being monetized, then I think it's 55%.
Wow.
So they take a good chunk, which is why, because someone was saying why not just have memberships on YouTube instead of like on Ko-fi, so it's all in one place. But by the time they take 40, like it's irritating for me, but also I assume that when people are joining the memberships, the aim is not to give YouTube more than half of what, like I would be quite upset if I wanted to give if I wanted to give someone something and then I find out that actually they get 45% and then the rest of it is taking my YouTube.
I hope you get all of the money that I give you.
Oh yeah, from Ko-fi, it's Ko-fi is slightly different. So they take 5%, which compared to everywhere else is a lot lower.
Okay.
So it's almost like a fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ko-fi take a 5% fee. YouTube, to be fair, like to give credit to them, I guess their perspective is that they're the ones finding the advertisers, they're the ones getting paid by the advertisers, they're the ones who run the algorithm, who run the platform. So they see it more as like 50-50, fair dues.
Yeah, but the advertisement they're putting on is not for instance, you're showing a video on how to paint, and they're showing an advertisement for some kind of pill.
Yeah, like honestly, so yeah. Their choices are a bit perplexing sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to, so I've added white. Can you see like white, but also hints of blue and hints of
Yes.
like green,
Yeah.
so that you can tell that there's somewhat of an element of water. But then underneath this rock here, there should be shadow. This doesn't look quite natural. And
You can
underneath
tell
this here.
that the water's like really frothy.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm going for. And then I did the dry brush here to do the waterfall, and I just made it like a staircase waterfall.
Yeah,
Does that
you
make
can tell
sense?
it's like shooting over the rock
Yeah.
into the water.
Thank you. You guys are so sweet. Have I finished? No. This is the longest I've ever taken to drink a Coke. It means I'm talking too much.
Yeah, sorry.
So I want to add a shadow underneath that rock. So we'll take some of this beautiful blue that we've used and mix in a little bit of green and add some more blue. Is that too harsh? We'll see. We'll experiment with that and see. And I'm just dipping it in again because I was spraying it with water. It's just a little moist. I just picked up the water and not much paint, which is why I'm trying to get more paint.
So I just had a thought. What's the difference between acrylic gouache and acrylic?
Acrylic gouache has more pigment than acrylic, and it has and it's matte.
Oh, okay.
So it has, so in terms of like with acrylic gouache, sometimes I don't know about Holbein, but like say Turner, for example, they'll tell you because it's so loaded with pigment, they'll tell you to water it down 2-1. So you 2 parts water, 1 part paint. And then also in theory, it's still gouache. Does it have it has some acrylic particles in it, but it dries matte. I was wondering the same thing myself. I was like, oh, should I just be using acrylic? Because acrylic is cheaper than gouache. Like you can find. So I was like, yeah, I was like, wait, I may be falling in love with a medium that's a con, but no, there is a difference.
So I was just thinking, I might as well just get a load of acrylic paints if it's the same thing. But if they're shiny, I don't want shininess.
No, I think it's shiny, and then also like with as well as being shiny, I think it's more the fact that it has like more pigments and it will dry like covered and matte. Whereas if you use because the alternative is, could you use acrylic and then add matte medium? And I think you could, but it wouldn't be like quite as dark and saturated as acrylic wash.
No.
So I'm just doing
It's
like
one of the Turners that dry shiny.
One of the Turners dry shiny.
Yeah, the Joppa.
Oh yeah. That set. I don't have that. Where's my Turner? I had my Turner. I don't have it to hand now. But yeah, no, the Japanese ones, they don't seem to be that popular, so I didn't actually buy it. When I was looking at reviews, they were like, don't get this one, get that one. So I didn't get it.
Is the Turner gouache worth buying?
I think it's good. I think it's good. But I think if you have the acrylic gouache, if you have the Holbein is by reputation a little bit better. Just more expensive, like it's better and more expensive. But I've heard like Turner is good. I can't compare it to Holbein basically, but from what I've seen from the reviews, it takes a little bit longer to dry, which I liked. It's really nice and saturated, which again I liked. but some of the colors looked a little bit better on Holbein, which I think is why it's a bit more popular. And I think like the consistency is better in Holbein as well.
I think I need to try both, to be honest.
Yeah, to then know which one you like most.
Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll just buy like 2 of my favourite colours in each.
Yeah, that's a good
I'll
idea.
get like a teal and a purple because they're my favourite colours, and then just try those and see which one I prefer.
No, that sounds like a good plan.
Now, Liquitex has acrylic gouache too.
Yeah,
Don't tell me.
but I was looking into that, and they have a bit of they have like a bit of a controversial not controversial, because initially I wanted to get Liquitex gouache as well, as in Liquitex acrylic gouache, because it's cheaper. But then some people were looking into it and were saying that it's actually closer to acrylic paint with matte medium, so it doesn't have quite as much pigment as other acrylic gouaches. So there's
Okay.
a video by Jerry Artarama. He was quite passionate in that video, but the general crux of it was that he was comparing them side by side, and the the Liquitex gouache didn't have quite as an opaque matte finish as the Turner gouache. And if Turner gouache is like the more affordable version, and acrylic and Holbein is even better, then I think that's why he was comparing the two, because they're like somewhat similar price points. So yeah, no, because I wanted to try it as well, and I still may do. But what he was basically saying is that it's matte acrylic, whereas so I think it depends on like personal preference basically, and how and why someone's using like that particular gouache in terms of like what properties you want from it as to whether you will care.
You know your life is saving you money, right?
I'm saving us money because I was going to get it as well. I was really looking into it, and then I saw that video because again I was like really curious to be like, oh, what is the difference between the two?
Oh no, because I was supposed to go to the art store.
To get the two. I mean, by all means, part of me is like still curious.
Spending money on Jackson's and but I still want to go to the art store.
No, me and you both. I got paid yesterday. I got paid yesterday, but I checked my bank balance. Yeah, check it. I got paid yesterday, checked my statement, and for some reason they were taking out the wrong amount of pension from my pay. So they've taken out £800 from my pay that I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I know. I saw this in the evening, like at night. So there's nothing I can do about it now, but I need to speak to HR in a week. But then like I was so sad that I had less money, and my feeling was I need to go online and see what I can buy to cheer myself up. Which is completely backwards. The solution to feeling sad about having not enough money is to spend more money so I have even less.
So what did you buy?
I didn't buy anything because I wanted to get the Holbein acrylic gouache, and it was which one? I think it was like 23 or something pound. No, was it 23? I wanted to buy the Holbein acrylic gouache, but it was from Jackson's, and I wanted to buy some other things from Jackson's. Like I want to buy sheets of 100% cotton watercolor paper so that I can really try it without fear of wasting the material. And also I want to try and do book binding. But when I looked at this whole thing added up, it basically came up to like over £100. And I was like, okay, well, realistically, I can't spend this. So I created a wish list. Yes, I created a wish list instead, and I told myself I'd be patient and wait, and then maybe if it goes on sale, I'll get it or whatever. But you'll see item number 1, Holbein gouache. Item number 2, Holbein acrylic gouache. Item number 3, Fabriano Artistico. Item number 4, Saunders paper. And I was like, oh, I need to control myself because they're all they're not cheap. But we'll see. I'll still keep buying.
Fabriano paper.
Yeah, Fabriano Artistico. It's
Oh,
100%
That's the one
cotton.
that to be better than Arches.
So I've heard.
Pronounce it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've heard, so I wanted to try that.
Etcher uses that paper.
They use is it the Artistico?
Yeah, the Fabriano Artistico. Yeah.
Ah, I thought they were
That's what I
using the other
said.
one.
Why am I buying Arches why am I buying Etcher when I can just go and buy Fabriano myself?
I
Is
thought
it
they.
cheaper to buy Fabriano than Etcher?
Yeah, it depends.
If you're in Italy, no problem.
But here, Etcher is the Etcher everyday sketchbooks are maybe like, don't quote me on this, but around like £25. But I don't feel like they have. I don't feel like it's artistical, you know. The everyday one, maybe the signature one.
It's the signature.
Yeah.
Perfect sketchbook.
Oh, yeah. So the perfect sketchbook one is £70 here, and it has Etcher. Yeah, and it has the Artistico paper, which is a really good one. Whereas if you were to get a pad of Artistico paper, it would be cheap, like a lot cheaper. But then I guess it depends on if you want a sketchbook or if you want a pad of paper. And what I wanted to get was just the sheets, the like as cheap as they come, the sheets of paper. And then I wanted to try and see if I could make my own sketchbooks. Let's see. There's some
£70.
Yeah, but that's for the signature series perfect sketchbook. So that's their most expensive sketchbook. The everyday sketchbook,
which is always out of stock anyway. So.
Yeah, it's really hard to get. The everyday sketchbook has slightly, I think, also has Artistico paper, but I think no, it also has Fabriano paper, but I think it has like the one that's called Fabriano watercolor paper that doesn't really tell you like, not the Fabriano 5, not the like, there's a whole bunch of different Fabriano papers. It has one of them that's slightly not as good as the everyday signature series. And that one I think is like £25 for an A5 one. So that one's
Is that one worth buying?
Yeah, that one's really nice as well. It's 100% cotton paper. I haven't used it. This is based on reviews. I haven't used it because I keep feeling like, oh, it's 100% cotton paper. I need to save it. I need to be like good. But it's the same as this. It's the same paper as the one in this, and that's really good. So yeah, you don't necessarily need it for gouache, but it won't hurt.
So I can use the everyday one for gouache as well as watercolor.
Yeah, you can use it for both.
Okay, that's good.
I'll tell you something. You can use gouache in a Mixpedia. You can use gouache. You can use gouache in even 90-pound paper. Because what gouache does is it builds it. You know, if you paint with gouache and then you close the book on it, the paper seems to straighten back out. And because you're not using that much water. That's why people use gouache in coloring books. They also use acrylic in coloring books because you don't use that much water with them. Not like
I have seen people use like black acrylic for backgrounds.
Yeah. So you can use it in anything. If you haven't, or you've bought from Jackson's already, but if you were to use my links for Jackson's, say you have a relative who wants to buy you something from Jackson's and they create an account and they use my link, I get commission regardless, but you get 10% off, even on top of sales.
I didn't know you had affiliate links. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's most of my links are affiliate links as of now. But yeah, you'll get 10% off. So maybe if you were to see like a really big like sale and you're saving up for it,
now I can use it now that I know that I can shop on the UK side. Because what happens when I go onto Jackson, it immediately wants to put me onto the Canadian part.
Are you using VPN? Do you have VPN on your computer? I think that's meant to stop that from happening.
But the thing is when I pay with PayPal, then it sends me to. It says we're gonna call you to verify blah blah blah.
Oh my gosh, it's quite a
Lauren,
process.
Are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
How's it coming along, Lorna?
Yeah, it's not quite like yours. That's for sure.
It's
but yeah. But you know, you've got to remember it's first try at gouache.
Yeah,
so,
because it came this morning. Then this is a bit much. In terms of like, as far as like reference photos go, perhaps like a one with like.
But yeah, it's been great. Really, really fantastic fun to give it a go, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching and talking to you all. Thank you.
No, thank you. This is a lovely way for me to spend my Saturday.
What time is it there now?
It is 8:30.
Sorry, go on.
Yep, 8:30.
Okay. So it is still 5 hours ahead.
What do you think?
You're 5 hours ahead of we are.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Abstract, we're finished. So
I like that how you set the waterfall up though, because it's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
You guys are so sweet. Thank you. Honestly, I appreciate it. As I say, when I start these live streams and I start the paintings, I'm always like, God, please let it be somewhat, put together. Let it not be a complete shambles. Let them not lose respect for me during the session. No, but that's what I'm always hoping, because I don't practice beforehand. So literally when I do the live streams, we're doing it for the first time together.
I think it's really brave to come on here live and paint.
Thank you. Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I'd be too nervous.
I think if she had 20 people signing in, then it would be like, okay, what am I going to do now? She has to plan ahead. But because it's only a few people,
it's nice and safe. That being said, also when I do the live streams, still no planning. Like on YouTube, no planning.
Yeah.
Just go for it. But I think it depends, right? So I think if it was I think it depends on like the intention. My intention for this was that we would it would be quite relaxed. We'd answer questions about gouache, we'd experiment, we'd go back and forth, we'd, whereas if I felt like I was doing like a course that people really, like a regimented course, then perhaps it would be different. But even then, I don't know if I would necessarily, the reason I say this is I don't like painting things twice. Like I don't really like painting the same thing over and over, because I feel like I have over 200, 300 things that I want to paint. So I want to try and get through them. Even though when I finish, I'll always be like, if I painted this again, I feel like I could make it better. But yeah.
That's why I said to you, if you were to go on Skillshare, you would have a lot of students, because you go through it so people would they won't block out. They won't tell you block out the shapes first. Or as you know, I don't really like the time lapse. But they'll do it in time lapse. Like, how am I supposed to follow this? And it's all a voiceover. So basically, I've been getting courses off of Domestika, because they're more professional than the ones that are on Skillshare.
No, I will try. I do have, because I have some, say, real-time videos, like in general of
I think
paintings.
you do really well on something like Skillshare or Domestica because of the way you're really good with like I've learnt loads. I've learnt loads in the last 3 hours.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry it's 3 hours.
No, honestly,
This must have felt like an endurance
fine.
test.
It's absolutely fine.
Well, no, I do want to do like if I bring back this is like my book of ideas, because otherwise you have things taking up space in your head rent free. So one of the like, oh, I need to do a Skillshare. Skillshare has been on my list of like, this was me, another Skillshare class, things to do, Skillshare class. Like I write it almost every other page. I'm like, oh, Ko-fi rewards, do the monthly challenge. So yeah, no, it's definitely something that I want to do. And I have some real-time footage anyway. I think the struggle that I have with the real-time footage is that when I record it and I'm painting on my own, I'm not talking through what I'm doing. I feel like I paint better when I'm not talking through what I'm doing. Like the painting itself would be better. So quite often I will paint and then I have the video, I'll take off the sound, and then I have the opportunity of doing a voiceover over the painting, explaining what I'm doing. But I haven't posted them because they're normally like over an hour long. And I think it's different doing a live stream and I'm painting with you and I'm explaining everything. That feels more dynamic. But I don't know if I would be able to hold someone's attention for an hour if I'm doing a real-time painting and I'm not literally there speaking with them. And when I watch videos, like YouTube videos, I don't like videos that just have music, and there's just painting on it. Although my brother has said that that's the kind of video he wants to see, so maybe I will do a couple. But basically, I think what I'm trying to say is I have some real-time footage of some real-time videos of some paintings, and I am happy to put them on Ko-fi. I will just have to figure out how to set it up because I don't know how to edit it, basically. I don't know how to put it together in a way that is interesting and engaging without having music for most of it. And I don't know if that would actually be beneficial. But I can't talk I was going to say I can't talk for an hour, but I guess we all know that's a lie. Here I am. But like, I also have this video. Hold on. Which I was meant to release for this month, where I basically did this painting.
Water. There, see? I like that one.
Yeah, it's for you guys. I need to edit it. It was again putting together. So this would have been, I guess, the part 3 of the watercolor series. So the part one was where is it? The part 1 was talking through these techniques. And just for your benefit, Joanna, it's essentially like the first one is basically working out consistency. So with gouache, the more water you add, the lighter it gets. And you can layer on top of gouache as long as you use more paint and less water than the layer underneath it. So then you go from watery, then you add some more paint and less water, and some more paint, less water, some more paint, less water. And this is all the same color. It's all the yellow ochre, but you can see that it looks darker just because I'm adding more water. And the point of this is to show you, one, how to build up, but also the fact that you can then layer on top as long as it's like thicker. So this is layered on top. But if you make the mistake, this is why people get frustrated with gouache. If you make the mistake and then you use a really watery layer on top of something that's thick, then you end up getting this kind of effect and mixing it together, which can be quite frustrating. And then the next thing was like dry brush technique, which I love using for water and making things look really nice and natural. And the last thing was like how to blend the gouache together to get nice gradients. And then part 2 was looking through, I think, 3 of my paintings where I use these techniques in the 10-hour challenge. to explain how it all came together, and then this would have been part 3, where I basically
Can I
paint
find
this.
these are these on Ko-fi?
This one is on Ko-fi.
Yeah,
The
that's
one,
that
yeah, this one is on Ko-fi already. If you go on the shop and you click on the exclusive video section, it's there. The other one will come next week, and this one, the only reason I wasn't sure if I should post it is because it's like a 5-minute video, so I didn't know, as in, yeah, it's like a 5-minute video, so I didn't know if it would actually be interesting. I'll see. I'll edit it.
I mean, I'm interested in it, but it's up to you if you want to post it or not.
No, I still have it. I just I feel like someone who has loads of ideas, and it's just a question of trying to figure out what is actually beneficial for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have that and I'll post that. But for next month, for October, if you have any ideas on something that you would like me to do, then by all means, please let me know. If you'd like to do this kind of session again, I'll try and be a bit more structured. Make the promises.
I really enjoyed it.
Really.
But I could try and do that as well, because I like it. And did you have any? I hope that the color theory bit made somewhat sense, and that seeing the colors mixed together also made somewhat of sense. The brown heavy
Yes,
painting.
it did. Thank you.
Yeah. Lorna, did you want to show us what you did or no? No pressure. If you don't want to, it's fine.
Well, it's not good, isn't it? But it was really fun, and it's not your instructions. The thing that I really struggle with is I've lost the shape of the rock. And it's not good.
I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
No.
Oh, you're showing us the back.
Yeah.
Go through the flowers.
Oh. There you go.
Oh, that's wonderful. What? What are you saying? That's wonderful.
I lost the shape of the rock, and you've got like a nice curvature to your cliff. I've just got.
I don't know what curvature you're referring to. No, I think that's beautiful.
I think
this
that
bit
looks
here.
lovely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it really does. I can't believe that's your first gouache painting.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's your first ever gouache painting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Thank you.
You don't believe us, but trust us. No, that is really, really good. And I think, are you talking about like the rock here? Which rock?
It's all sort of mingled into one a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got like nice individual.
No, I think it depends, because my one, like this rock here, for me has mingled into one.
Yeah.
Like this should be 2 rocks, but to me it looks like one.
Yeah.
The only clear, I think it looks like one big rock, another rock, and another rock. Like the most I can say is I can have 4 rocks, which was not necessarily my intention, but I don't mind. I guess because because looking at it, we can tell they're rocks. That's all I wanted, for there to be rocks, for there to be a waterfall, and for there to be water and foliage. And I feel like we got that.
You're too critical of yourself.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed. I know you'd said that the Winsor & Newton had just arrived today, but in my head, I thought that meant you had used different gouache before, and then you were doing it. Not that you're starting off the bat straight away. That's incredible. I don't even think I could show you my first gouache painting.
I've only just sort of started watercolor and got used to going from light to dark. And I was worried if I went to gouache, it'd be harder
to master both. They for me, I feel like they behave differently enough that it should be okay. In terms of like, I guess I use gouache almost like I'm using acrylic, not like watercolor at all.
No.
I honestly I do find watercolor harder. Um, I find watercolor landscapes harder, but watercolor florals easier than gouache florals. I don't know. I don't know why. To each their own. But yeah, you can see it's drying out already, and my yellow completely finished.
Have you got any tubes left?
Yeah. Yes, I do. This is what I was looking for. This is the Turner acrylic gouache. I have 2 packs because I was like, oh, I don't want to run out, and they were on sale. So I think I actually bought 3 packs. So those 2 are unopened.
How much do they cost?
They are currently $23.50-ish on Amazon on sale. Not on sale, as in they used to be $29.99. Over the past 2 months, they've gone down to £23. I'm not sure why, but I'm grateful.
Have they got a name that I can put in or anything?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. It's called because I have an affiliate link as well. It's called the introductory set. So it's a set of 10.
I got this set of 6.
Yeah, they have the set of 6, which is the primaries, and then they have the set of 10.
Yeah, but the 6 here cost $42.
The 6 cost what?
$42. Windsor and Newton is a UK. It's not Canadian.
Yeah.
We have to pay.
I think it's not £23.
Yeah, it's £23 here for the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the 6 is expensive because I bought mine from the art store, and they had to pay brick and mortar, duty, custom, everything.
Oh
So
my.
they stick that on the customer. Yeah. So I would have to order it from Jackson's.
Yeah. But even Jackson's is... But what about Amazon? Is it that expensive on Amazon? Because Jackson's is like £30 as well.
To Canada, Amazon UK to Canada is expensive.
That is and just out of curiosity, I'm not like I don't tend to post much. In fact, I think the first set of Happy Mail was maybe the second time in my life that I'd posted anything, and probably the first time I'd posted anything abroad.
I can't believe you've done that again.
Yeah, I just get.
Again, aren't you?
Yeah. I haven't sent it all yet. I haven't sent it yet, to be honest, because I got sick and I didn't have it in me to go out in the rain. But I will. I have them here. Let's see. Ta-da. And then the 10 sets.
Did I join in time to get one?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Yay.
So they will be making their way soon. But my question is about, so if I send something, like my confusion or my question comes at, like, if, for example, I were to send you the Windsor and Newton, would you then have to pay all those taxes? Like, that's what I don't understand.
No. And the thing is, I'm looking on Amazon Canada. That box that you just showed that's cost £23.
Yeah.
Them $79.
How much?
What?
It costs $79.35 on Prime. So I would get it tomorrow.
That is.
Don't look for your pearls.
Yeah. I'm literally clutching my pearls. I cannot believe the price discrepancy.
Yep. And it's funny, the Windsor and Newton designers gouache paint. They say it's $30.
But is it because it's a business sending it? Like, I don't understand. So, yeah, I don't understand. Is it because it's a business, or is it in terms of like customs? Because I had to pay when I sent you the first Happy Mail. I think I had to pay like £5 to send it. and I had to fill out a customs form, but I didn't get charged. Like, that doesn't account for the $50 difference.
These are the 14 mil, right?
Mm.
Yeah. $80 Canadian.
I don't get that.
I think it's because of the seller too. Because the seller is not Windsor and Newton. The seller doesn't even say a seller. It's just shipped and sold by Amazon Canada. Yeah. So they're charging $80. Yes, highway robbery.
So, out of curiosity, right? If I were to buy the Windsor and Newton and then sell it for £30 to cover the shipping, would you then be charged an extra? Would you be charged customs, or would it just be that you paid the $30 and that's it?
I'll just pay the $30. That's it. That's the same thing. I was gonna say. Remember you were saying, see if you Jackson's would send the pencils.
Mm.
And I said, if I couldn't get it through Jackson's, then I would ask you. I would pay for it, send you the shipping and everything, and you send it to me that way, right? But it worked out that Jackson's allowed the pencils to come through.
That's very bizarre.
But you know what? It gives me a good reason to hop on a plane
and then to come. I'll have to see.
My family.
Yeah, most definitely. Then we'll have our face-to-face paint sessions at long last. But no, someone was asking me about like samples of paints. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't think dot cards would necessarily work quite as well for gouache. But I was looking like into maybe like a way to keep it wet and then send it over, because they were saying that it's just so ridiculously expensive in the US. And I thought, oh, like, you know, maybe it's an extra £10, but that is ridiculous.
Like for instance, I had to order like my pro markers.
Yeah.
I had to order from Cult Pens because they're expensive over here.
That's crazy.
But now Cult Pens has, in order for me to get free shipping from Cult Pens, I have to spend $150.
You might as well pay the shipping. Like, that's so crazy. It's too much. They all cost too much.
And because you're buying, the thing is they're charging the overhead. Well, I have to pay this much to get it from England, so I got to recover my costs.
Well, I'm sending you the Happy Mail anyway. If you want the Windsor and Newton, gouache, I can just send it to you.
No, I have the introductory 6 already, so I'm okay. Girl, I have Hugh that's looking at me right now.
I feel like an enabler, but also I feel like it shouldn't cost that much to be able to get, you know, the suppliers. But at least
I'm trying to get through all my markers.
Okay. Well, at least you know that's an option if need be. Then at least you never basically. I never want to hear that you paid $70 to get the Windsor and Newton.
I'm trying to do the images and markers, because if I can do it in different mediums, it would be amazing. Then the hands will be in it.
No, it's incredible because Pardon? Oh yeah, me too. I've seen the you showed us some of the digital work, I think, but not the rest.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the rest one day. Whenever you're ready. Everyone's really.
So Jackson's sales go from Saturday to Thursday?
For us, they're Saturday to Thursday, but or Saturday to Friday, but like 5 a.m. Friday, something like that.
But the pencil sale that's on at the moment, that for some reason that hasn't finished. That's still going on.
Is it? On my side, it was finished.
No, I bought some.
Was
what
it today?
When did I? Yesterday, I bought some more.
Ah. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Also, I'm making a video about saving money. This right here, this gem right here.
Yeah,
I love.
The pencil sale's done. It's now Jackson's Artist Watercolor,
Was it?
Online, Midori Gouache sets.
Oh, it's
and
finished.
Gambling.
Yeah, I can only see the gambling. I can't see the Jackson's watercolor.
What did that do? Squeeze every last drop out of your tube?
Yeah, every single.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is the last drop.
But where can I get that from?
This is from Amazon. I can send you a link and add it to my list.
Sorry, there's so many things that you need to send me links for now.
No, that's fine.
She's an enabler.
Yeah, I really am. I'm like, what would you like to buy?
There's the Windsor and Newton introductory set.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And I'm sure there was the Stay Wet palette.
Yep, and then the brushes by De La Rani.
Because people have that one that you have there for your gouache.
Pardon?
I still have on my Jackson's list.
Pardon? You were breaking up. What?
I'm on the Stay Wet for your gouache.
Yes. Oh, I love this. Yeah.
I have that on my wish list, but the thing is, I'm waiting for it to come on sale because
It's been out of stock for the past 2 months.
the Canadian price is too expensive.
How much is it in?
To buy. Wow. They keep showing me the US price.
What's
I keep smiling and then all of a sudden realize, okay, it's US.
What's the US price?
US price is much lower than the Canadian.
Oh. Because here is £12.60, but it's been out of stock for 2 months. And then this is me being super cheap. So now it's like completely squeezed out, and then I use a brush to get every last drop. Obviously, don't have to do that initially. And
mind you, I was buying my cancel the wallpaper
yeah.
from Jackson's.
Oh,
Because they only have it at Jackson's.
Wow.
love this.
Actually, it's not out of stock.
Isn't it? Our one is.
The dark blue one is $15.
Yeah, so it's a similar.
Sorry. It won't be until October 28th.
Yeah, it's been saying that since July. It's like, this is ridiculous. Do I need any more? No. Do I want? Yes.
Because it comes with the cup.
Yeah.
I just want it for the
Yeah, I want it for the palette.
Yeah. I have so much stuff waiting on this list. I have a Neo Color light gray pen. No, I can remove that. I don't need it. I think I got it twice already. And the green one.
The Neo color. Ooh. Whoops. Oh no.
I already the color.
There we go.
I have the Fine Tech Colorio.
Is that the multicolor one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that pencil. I have the thick one.
$5.96 for just a small little.
Yeah, it's not. I think mine was like £3. It wasn't cheap, but it was like, it's like one of those impulse buys that it was at the till. When they say, "Oh, and would you like?" I was like, "Oh, don't mind if I do." But I do like that pencil, so.
Then I'm waiting for the ink watercolor to go back on sale. Because I just need one more bottle. Just one.
You love full sets. No. I find this so satisfying. Like there's just something because you know what? Because I thought, oh, I might get something like this. So I kept the tubes that I thought were empty. And yet I managed to like half fill all of these out of those quote unquote empty tubes. So since then I was like, nothing is getting thrown in the bin until it's been completely squeezed for dear life. So yeah, I'm going to release that video as well some point in some point in October. I've recorded all these videos. What takes me time is then the editing. See, so that one looked empty, but there's more. It's not the most comfortable thing to do. Like it doesn't feel nice in the hand, but
yeah, you do that when you're watching something on TV.
But it's worth it. So at least, so now you guys know that deep down in my heart, I'm a cheapskate.
You guys watch Piper's art?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes. Well, yeah.
No.
She's in a con this weekend.
Yeah. Hold on. I just realized that the live stream is still going, so let me actually stop that and be like, oh, and also the live stream was just showing me, not the painting. So will it actually be beneficial? Probably not. Sorry. After all that, let me just do a quick flash. Is it? There we go. I thought it had the top down view. Oh well, I'll know for next time. This session will just have to be our little secret.